step into the lab, lights hum like a starship dock. Pine logs stacked like data banks in a cube block. I calibrate climates while the timeline bends, writing fungal code loops only my psyllium sends. I navigate ecosystems with instinctive precision. Every egg a plate a portal to a parallel vision. Men and ships spin up like reactors at dawn. You want a culture revolution, then you better respond. We fracture the boundaries of the natural order, make Reishi bloom sideways like a space-time border. I'm an Appalachian alchemist, wild ridge born, with a druid's intuition and a mind full of spores.
Keep spawning culture.
We're the network underfoot, the unseen sculpture.
Keep spawning culture.
Well, hello, everybody. You guys caught me eating. I was trying to finish up some food before the music stopped. Did not work. Merry Christmas to everybody. Belated holidays. Happy New Year coming up. It's the last stream of the year. I don't know that I'll put this on Patreon. I got to put this on Patreon before the year ends. Okay, I'm going to take like 2 more bites, and then I'm going to be done with my food, and you guys won't have to listen to me eat after that. All right, there we go. I'm glad to see you guys jumping on here. I have had a crazy day. I have been outside working in the balmy conditions we're having here in East Tennessee right now. We've had the most ridiculous warm weather. It's been crazy just how warm it's been here, and not cold at all. Though it's supposed to get cold tomorrow, and then I think we're supposed to go right back to warm again right after that. So we're having kind of a crazy up and down kind of year. Oh, all of my batteries are depleted. But I've been outside doing some log work, cutting up some nice white oak. I have the truck all filled up. Well, maybe not full. Kids had a skateboard and stuff in there I had to work around, but mostly full. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Hey, Andrew, hope you and your family had a Merry Christmas. We did. Oh, my goodness, we did. It was crazy. My dad and I were talking about, like, the beginning of this year started off so rough. Just absolutely grueling, grinding earlier this year. And it's like, as the year's gone on, things have gotten easier and easier. Not just financially and business-wise, but, like, emotionally and a bunch of other stuff. So, in fact, I kind of talk about that on the video that I was recording today. I'm hoping to have our first video of 2026 out on the 1st. We'll see if that actually works. But I am going back. So you guys will get this a little bit earlier since you're watching my live stream. But I'm going to go back to a lot of the video format. I'm going to try to have 52 videos out next year. We'll see how that goes. What's up, Jeff? What's going on? Plum, eat, repeat. Let's go. Happy Yule time and happy winter solstice. Happy Yule. Merry Christmas. Happy... Well, we've already had the solstice, right? And so the New Year's, the next thing coming up. Happy New Year. It is glorious holiday season. What's up, nerd? What's up, Andrew? Hope you had a good Christmas with the family. I did. Again, like I was saying, we were talking about how we were able to be a lot more abundant in gift giving than we thought we were going to be. I mean, we didn't go crazy. I always try not to make my Christmas is materialistic. I want my kids, like, it's more about experiences. So we usually get an experience for the children as the main gift. This year we got tools for the children, and that kind of stuff. My parents got me some cool logging tools. So I got a hookaroon, I think is what they call it. I got a Fisker's hookaroon for Christmas. That was super cool. I was out there playing around with it. My parents got me a mallet and some wedges because I kept getting my chainsaw stuck. And so I finally have some wedges to put in there. And other than that, I mean, like it's just been other than the fact that the Christmas didn't feel like Christmas is until right up on it this year. It's like it kept being stretched out into one thing after another, making it hard to get together as a family regularly. And that was fun. Hey, pretty lady. My speaker? It's right over here. Right there. You're going to have to go get it. It's on the scale. Look how pretty she is. She's so pretty. Anyways, she does not like for people to notice her. But yeah, we had a great Christmas. It was nice to be able to hang out. We got to do something last night too. My family always tries like we have one family dinner after another during the Christmas season. Well, Collier, my oldest, has moved out, so he now has his fiance's family that he's got to do. So now it's like, well, and then we got to do stuff with Samantha's family and my family. And my family was like, well, when do we ever get to see you all? And it's like, well, you've seen us about every other day. I mean, it's not quite, but every other day. But it didn't feel like much, even though it was probably a lot more than a lot of people spend with their family. But it was great. Like I really took December off. I did 0 mentorships. The only thing I did was a class this is December. And really just kind of leaned into the last month is not about making money. The last month is not about anything but family. I mean, I still have to do everything else, but you know, yeah. What's up, Mr. M? I guess that's Mr. Mossy. I do like, I used to bother me that people like I'm Andrew, but now I freaking love being called Mossy. So everywhere I go, Mossy. I wish we had white oak here. It is a wonderful wood. I got a big dump truck load of it that's sitting out there, and 8 to 10 foot sections in what is it, about 10-inch diameter logs. I'm going to be doing a lot more mushroom logs this year. A lot more. Hey, Samantha, can you hand me a Coke? The white door. The white fridge door. Please and thank you. But yeah, I like white oak, red oak. Those are great for shiitake. I don't have as much red oak this year, so that I've gotten to find. But we're going to be doing a lot more log cultivation over the year. Thank you, Samantha. By the way, I answered most of those emails that I needed answered. I managed to find the time while eating yogurt. I don't know. I don't know if you have any left to answer. I would just go ahead and probably work on the orders or work with the kids on the block order or whatever you want to do. Okay. I don't know anything about that. Hold on one sec. Guys, I'm about to say a name. Should have everything now to do his order. He called while I was out there working, and I told him I'd make sure to let you know. But I told him I would check on it. I just sent him an email, but was saying, hey, it looks like we do have everything, and we were waiting on basically the sugars for the liquid culture premix to finish it off. Yep. So, well, not Agar for his order, but probably the others that were lumped with it. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So, red oak, I ended up doing. Ooh, look at it. Oh my gosh, that is. Turn it more this way. There you go. That's beautiful. It does kind of match the tree. That's funny. So the red oak I put maitake to because I've got somebody wanting me to make maitake logs for them for their property. And then I did some chicken of the woods and some other stuff. But I'll be doing some log videos. We're doing a lot more log growing this year. We're working on a lot more like sustainable production. I've also figured out how to do logs that end up being really. It works out like logs actually make sense now. And in some ways, they can be more economical than blocks, which is blowing my mind. Especially with something called, was it fragmentational fruiting? Where you like grow the logs in and then chop them up. We'll go over some of it. Some of it will be in classes. Some of it will be. I'm starting the vlog back up now that I'm not sick and stuff. And we have not seen you every other day. I know it wasn't every other day. And the green thing was a stir plate. I was being stir plate. What is it? What? I am connected to the speaker. There you go. You're able to connect to it now. Go ahead and rock out, guys. Um, I love that my mom watches my streams. It actually makes me happy. I don't know. Hopefully people are proud of me. Um, and mom, you can comment in the chat if you want to, since you're already watching. You don't have to text us. Happy soon to be New Year. Yes, Happy New Year, y'all. It's crazy that the year has already. Where's that lock? So I'm lean back. There we go. It's crazy just how much has happened this year. A lot, and it's been kind of a rough year in some ways, and then amazing in others. Hi, mom. There she is. Yeah, it was 55 yesterday evening. The temp dropped into the 20s super fast, and today they're already an inch and a half of snow on the ground here in northern suburbs of Detroit. Yeah, well, there you go. That's exactly how it works. The oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna Samantha's sending mom information on the stir plate. Okay, there we go. My phone is silenced. That way I won't get distracted no more. But yeah, the temperature is crazy. Like it's dropped tens of degrees, I think, here today. Though it was still pretty much shorts weather in the morning, and then of course working with the trees, I didn't really. I know I don't. You guys are going to see the video. I'm wearing sandals, working with a chainsaw. That bothers my dad really bad too, and my grandfather probably would have hated that. But I mean, I'm very, very careful. So, but I wasn't aware that the word Christmas was German in origin, and the way we celebrate Christmas was Dutch with Germanic Christian influence. Yeah. Actually, I learned that I think in middle school, high school, somewhere maybe. We had a teacher that went over it. I can't remember which teacher or what, but yeah. Is your son Jay-Z? Why would my son be Jay-Z? His name is Collier, not Jay-Z. What are you looking forward to most in 2026? Oh, man. Probably seeing if the planning that I've been doing the past few months bears fruit. I've had a lot of. This year has been a lot about not sliding backwards. And as I recover, because I had that big bad scare back at the end of 2024, the last few months of 2024, and was on the oxygen at the beginning of this year. So, or I had recently come off oxygen. I can't remember. Like that's all still a blur. I still don't really have the memory. I think that, and I'm going to talk a lot more about this in the video that I'm doing, but the truth is that this year has been a lot about, like I said, not sliding backwards, while paying off. I took a bridge loan out when I was sick. We got behind on stuff because Samantha was the only one working for the most part. We had just a lot of struggles while I was down, and emotional, financial, all that kind of stuff. But things physically, there it goes. Physically on the recovery as well. And so as that stuff has happened, I've had to learn and change things. And I've learned a lot about what I feel like is waste effort in the mushroom world and a lot of what really matters in the mushroom world. And I'm looking forward to teaching that over the next year, but also displaying that in the vlog as we grow our systems out. I mean, the truth is that I've never been as passionate about anything as I have fungus, and it's weird to say that. Every time I talk about that, I always feel like is it Beekman from the Ghostbusters? I collect molds and spores, things like that. But um, yeah, I don't know. There's just never been anything out there that it's been um, caught my passion and my interest and kept it the way it is. Because I've been passionate about many things and I bounced around a lot, but the mushrooms have kept the passion, and so now I get to work into 2026 feeling that again because I'm feeling better, but having a renewed understanding of what's important labor in a farm and what's not important labor. What is important in growing mushrooms and what is not important in growing mushrooms? What are some things that we do? And so I'm just really excited to get our systems out there, refine them, teach them. And then I want to, 2026 for me is the year of explosive growth, whereas 2025 was about not sliding backwards. 2026 is going to be, as far as I'm planning it, about explosive growth and building an army of bioprospectors and open source ethicers and um, innovation brokerage and just like really, I really just want to see if I can really help people remove some blockages in their way, and then arm people with the information to get out there and not just leave it up to the big boys growing, like decentralize this stuff some. And I don't have a clear message yet. I'm working on the the clarity still. The green star plate. Yeah, I love that color. I think it's Emerald Isle is what Ben calls it. It's the color of the filament that he uses it to print it. But have you ever used lion's mane in place of fish or crab, or pink oyster in the place of pork? Yes, to both. And it's delightful for both. The only thing I will caveat is that there's only one strain I found for pink that I actually feel like is got that ham-like flavor. Like you hear a lot about that in pink, but our smokehouse pink is the only strain I've ever found of pink that really has that kind of ham-like flavor to it. And it's the least impressive pink I've seen. Like it just doesn't look impressive for a pink oyster, but it seems to have all the flavor and texture to it. Whereas the wampus tongue that we've got is a showy pink, but a little bland compared to the smokehouse. Even though I guess pinks are pretty strong flavored no matter what, but it's the none of them seem to have a ham flavor to me. A lot of them have a fishy flavor. And then as far as Hericium in place of crab, yeah, absolutely. And there's a really good comb tooth variety that is nice and thick that I feel like can be used in place of like lobster tail kind of ishness. But I will say that to me, nothing takes the place of meat. Mushrooms are a good companion to meat, but not a good meat replacement, in my opinion. Andrew says, I'm about to start an indoor mushroom grow. What 3 mushrooms would you start with? Would I start with with 0 experience? I would probably, thinking. So you want oysters and Hericium are the 2 easiest ones to grow. So I would just go tribbles for the lion's mane for the Hericium. It's an easy play right there. Either that or wolf's bloom. But I feel like tribbles is more it's not as heavy a yielding strain as wolf's bloom, but it is sweeter and it is better for extracts, I feel like, than wolf's bloom. I don't have any data on that, just it's all subjective at the moment. But it is so metabolically active, so enzymatically active, I guess I should say, that the fruits of tribbles tend to get very sticky. So and the extracts are obviously denser. So the tribbles is the one off for the Hericium. And then I would pick something like BS26. BS26 is a little slower than some of the other blue oysters, like by a day or two. but it tends to like be like, there's a few people that have done comparisons. I'm trying to remember. I think it may have been Renegade um, that did a direct comparison of like three of them, and like BS26 one on like flavor and texture. It's really easy to grow. It's one of the most vibrant in the as far as colors go. And then if you really like a soft texture, something like the Moon Pearl or the King Blue. The Moon Pearls have mutated King Blue, and it's mutated with natural UV light and inbreeding stress, basically. So it's not like like anything chemically anything like that. Love you, Mom. And Michael Nerd says, "Hi, Mom." And I'm about to buy off your website. Oh, awesome! Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the three that I would probably recommend off our website. Well, I wish you the best of luck. You guys deserve it. Thank you very much, Nerd. I really appreciate that. I haven't been on for a while. What is the crown with numbers next to our comments? There's a crown next to your comments? I don't see anything on my end. Maybe that's on YouTube Direct's side. I'm streaming from some software. I'm not actually on YouTube right now. I mean, it's streaming to YouTube, but it's your problem right there. You're drinking Coke. Pepsi is king. I know some people that would agree with you. My family's a Coke family, though. Everything we call it, like even like Sprite is Coke, right? Pepsi is Coke. Everything's a Coke down here. That's just a weird Central Appalachian thing, I think. I used AI to create a lightweight business app that schedules, accepts payments, separates taxes automatically after payment, and many other things. Spend almost $200 a month for something similar. Yeah, dude, AI is getting creepy good. And it is interesting how creepy good it's getting. I've got modules that I use for songwriting. I've got modules that I use for helping me write, because I can write an article and then I can use it to edit stuff. And that seems to really piss people off. I don't know why, but it's weird how people do not like it. There are two people that I used to employ, and I used to pay somewhere around $875 a week for them, and I now pay about $200 in AIs a month to do the same services, and they do them better than those people did most of the time. So, it's just one of those things. Excuse me. So I just picked up Moon Pearls from you and can't believe the growth in LC and millet spawn. Just made up 5 10-pound blocks of it. How's the yield, and do you think it can replace King Blue? I don't think the yield is going to be as good as King Blue, though I'm interested to know, because in the cooler weather, as the cool weather hit, my yields on Moon Pearls skyrocketed. But I don't have any direct comparisons, so I think that I'm just going to assume that the yield is going to be lower, because these mutations, whether it's in cubensis or pleurotus or anything else that I've seen, these blob mutations tend to yield less. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to, but Moon Pearls is still experimental, so I don't have a lot of I just don't have a lot of data for it yet. It's still very early on that. And most of what I grow on is 5-pound blocks of the super spawn, because like nowadays I just try to produce excess spawn, and then whatever is excess goes to the grow room. Or if something goes like half contaminated or something like that, I'll fruit the other half in the grow room, that kind of thing. And I don't have a lot of excess, so just enough to keep the CSA really going. But the CSA thrives pretty much off my lion's mane production and shiitake. That's the two most popular ones in my CSA. I'm loving the CSA, by the way. It is more profitable with fewer customers than the restaurants that I was doing back in the day. A little bit more work to get it going, though. Google puts a crown next to people's comments based on counts, I think. Interesting. Like counts of how many comments they've done? I came back in the warm and my nose is starting to itch. That's interesting. I didn't know that they were doing that. They could. They could just do it. I mean, it's on YouTube, right? Let me check this out. I'm going to be careful. Going to. Okay, so I see where I'm live. Oh, I do see the crowns. Number 3, number 1. Is that people? Okay, so it's just how many people have commented. So Myco Nerd's number 1 right now, and Plum Eat Repeats number 3, and Exceptions number 2. You guys are going to catch up. Okay. So, and then you get experience for this. So the leaderboard, a place for fans to stand out in the community. The top 3 get special badges in live chat. It resets every stream, so you can always try again. How do you get on the leaderboard? You'll need to collect experience points or XP. Here's how you get them. Send live chat messages, send super chats and super stickers, learn more or turn off in the help center. I don't know if I have super chats turned on anymore. I used to, and I did recently get the PIN number in the mail and turn them back on, but I haven't. I don't know that I actually ever confirmed that I turned them back on or anything. So, hello. Oh, it's my mommy. My mommy. Hello, mommy. Very cool. Plum Eat Repeat. Says exception to the rule. Yes, there's a crown at the top with counts. Okay. I say the person with number 1 gets a free LC. You know what? Let's do it. By the end of the chat, whoever is number 1, but well, hold on. Do we have to qualify this so that you're not just like doing free LC and Agar for number 2 and 3? Well, Agar is more expensive. Okay, let's experiment with this. Whoever's number 1 at the end of the chat. So 2 hour, 3 hour mark, whenever I end this, whoever's number 1 gets a free LC of their choice off the website. I will say, I'm with Plum here. I'm okay with doing that. I'm actually okay with doing that, nerd. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I have spam filters going. So if somebody did spam the same thing over and over again, they would immediately kicked, and that would take them off the leaderboard. So I'm also skipping some stuff, so I need to go back. I want to try this. I actually really do want to try this, but I don't want it. I want it to be fair. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that okay, I got to think about this. This is one of those genie moments, right? This is one of those genie moments where I don't want it to become just garbage, just to, garbage. I don't want garbage comments. So I reserve the right to deduct points for garbage comments. Things that are irrelevant or obvious grabs. If you have questions, and you can come up with questions or comments, those will count. So we're going to go by the crowns. Whoever's number 1 by the end of the chat wins. But let's see. Yeah, whoever wins by the end, whoever's number 1 by the end wins a free LC. But I reserve the right to kick anyone for not playing fair. That's what I'm going to say. I reserve the right to be in control of it. Let's see. Faradun. I like Faradun. That sounds. No offense. I hope you don't take offense. That sounds like almost like something like out of the Lord of the Rings. Like Faradun showed up, just in time. What is your shiitake yield on average per 10-pound blocks with the 3790 strain? So I 2.5 pounds is what I'll say. We routinely had stuff that was over 3 pounds. but every now and then you'd get a block that might only produce 2 pounds or 1.75, 1.95, something like that. So let's just say 2.5 pounds was my average on first flush shiitake yield. But that was a 12-pound block. That wasn't a 10-pound block. Now, that said, I don't know if it would actually, be that much more or not. But we used to do 12-pound blocks. We didn't do 10-pound blocks until, well, really even now. Also, would you all be interested in a 10-pound spawn block? I'm considering significantly dropping my price per pound of spawn for 10-pound spawn blocks, doing a maximum of 5 strains, and that's the only things I would produce in spawn. But I could then fulfill them faster because I could make more of it. And I could, if I'm simplifying it to 3 to 5 strains, I would be able to constantly have it in stock. That is something that we're doing, is we're simplifying our product line and spawn wise. But if people would be interested in 10-pound blocks of spawn, I can save significantly on labor, and then I can pass that labor cost on to the customers. So if people are wanting to buy, is 10 pounds too much spawn, is what I'm asking for people. Or would 10-pound bags actually be something people would buy? And if it's something people would buy, then I might just go with that. For ELC, oh yeah, we already talked about that. And yes, we're extremely proud of you guys. Thank you, Mama. I'm beaming. That would give a lot of crap comments, unfortunately. I think, exception, that we can make this happen fairly. Let's see. Right now we got my Mama's number 3, so you guys are going. Mama's, though exception and Plum are also, all of you guys are 75 points right now. I just don't want this to be unfair. So let's just play this as a game. No one get so invested in that one syringe, right? We're just doing a one syringe. It's not like life or death. We're all going to be okay. Chat should be, and I agree with Plum that chat should be relevant to the conversation. And you may have been kidding, but I like this idea because I like, the idea of engagement. The more comments you guys do, it's easier for me to bounce with you guys than it is for me to just sit here with you all silent and me just go, what do I talk about now? Right? It helps me to farm content for you guys. Myco Nerd has the best name. He does have a really good name. And I mean, look at that picture. Like, that's a really fantastic picture. I assume that that's AI. But it's still amazing. I think that we're gonna have fun with this. I think we can do this. Again, we'll figure it out. Whatever we gotta do. If we're international, we'll have to figure out. You might have to pay shipping if you're international and you win. Ask AI what you can do. What I can do for what? What did I? Is that talking about the comments thing? Because that would be. I mean, AI is usually pretty good about stuff. How'd the LC course go? I missed your last segment. Well, you can. You should have the replay link. Well, it should be the same link I sent you. And you should have some time for that. But it went great. The LC class went really well. It seems like the people who were in it seemed like they really got a lot out of it. We showed some really cool stuff, and people were kind of amazed there at the end. I showed how we made our automatic syringe puller, and people were like, whoa, that's really fast. Talking about how quickly Samantha and I could sit there and just slam out syringes. I mean, you could drain an entire bioreactor in moments. I mean, like a while back, it's been some weeks now, but Samantha and I pulled like 200 syringes in like 30 minutes using the automatic syringe puller that I went over in the LC class. So yeah, it went exceedingly well. I really enjoyed that class. I'm enjoying the next class we have is on the 10th. It's another mushroom cultivation basics. So not this coming weekend, but the next one. I need to get the word out there because I just put it up there and I realized that I've only got like 2 weeks to sell this thing, and I haven't even told people about it. So I got to get the word out. But yeah, it went really, really well. I'm enjoying teaching. I'm enjoying teaching a lot. Just popping in, Olaf Wilhelm. Just popping in to thank you for all the knowledge you shared with us and wishing you a healthy and successful New Year. Greetings from Hungary. Greetings, and thank you. Man, yeah, you live in like Mushroom Central, I bet, out in Hungary. The Eastern Europe is somewhere I want to go. Just tour around a lot, anyways, and talk to mushroom people. Um, that would be super cool. I'd love to go to Poland, Hungary, those two in particular, but I also want to go to like Latvia and some others. I said I don't want to get kidnapped. I heard that's a distinct possibility when I get close to the border with Russia. When you send the gifts out for your monthly Patreon supporters, do you shoot them an email when you send it out? I just want to be sure I'm home. Well, I don't typically. No, I don't typically. We tend to just ship them and go to the Patreon. Patreon's a terrible system, actually, and something I'm considering doing is putting a page on my website for people to support us, simplifying it, because Patreon does not do a good job of telling me when things are due. It does not do a good job of telling me when you all are getting charged, though it's supposed to be the first of every month. But that money, I mean, for me to see when I'm getting it, it doesn't like, I'm just unhappy with it. It does not, when you guys send me messages, I don't get emails about that. I have to go check Patreon. And so it's a whole nother layer. Whatever, if I put you into my website and we did a virtual product page, this is something I'm learning. I've been learning how to do websites over the past year too. Not shown, like, they do not think that what my website looks like now is what I'm capable of. I'm patching together something else built until Samantha and I can get caught up enough that I can put the time in it to build the new website. And Samantha and I are going to build a really cool one, I think. Very simple, though. Anyways, point being, if we did that, I could bring the Patreon into my own ecosystem, and then it would be built into my logistics system. But the problem I have is that I've got 15 different logistics systems going on from 15 different ways for people to support me, that I really need to narrow it down to the most effective ones, because it's just too much. So trying to, and like, let's say I want to download everything that tells me about how, like, your all's email addresses plus your addresses. It'll download into a CSV file. And I then have to parse that CSV file, which is easier now with AI, but you have to parse that up. I don't know if Chuck's on here, but he'll see it tomorrow. I think he said he normally watches them on Friday morning. But Sam's got your order, Chuck, if you're listening. So, poor thing, she's working past 5. But yeah, so we'll talk about that in the future. But I don't typically. What I would like to do, I think, Dish, is to just start my culture club back up, and then just have people just do the culture club, and then have a virtual product that people could, like, have tiers, so someone could still support us. They could do a subscription at $3. And what I can do with this, so check this out. I think this is going to be really nice for you guys. I've been learning how to build a newsletter, right? So what I can do is, if I have people signed up for a virtual product and they support us at $3 a month, right? There won't be any surprise flex charges for them. They won't have to cap anything off. And then once a month, they get a behind the scenes newsletter that I get to put in one place on the website, and it gets delivered, right? That's why I'm thinking about getting away from Patreon. The problem is that I get a lump sum from Patreon every month. So how do I replace that? Turn around. I guess what I would do is I just do both for a couple of months and then shut Patreon down, and just make sure you guys are aware that I need it shut down or whatever, or that I'm shutting it down. I just solved my own problem. So there we go. No such thing as too much spawn. Okay, that's what I was kind of thinking, is that, so 10 pounds would cut my labor cost in half. Labor is about half my cost total. So I could cut half my cost in half if I switch to 10-pound bags of spawn. And then I ship the 10-pound bags of spawn to y'all, and you get that savings. Like, I don't see anyone else doing this. Well, I'll probably see everyone else doing it now, because that is the thing, is I tend to I do tend to have some uh, copycats, I guess, that hit me on some stuff, but they it's okay.
You know what? If it's a system that works,
If it's a system that works
it benefits us all.
and it benefits us all, then Samantha's happy with it. I will say that that is the most what's interesting to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to eat. I want my kids to eat. I want to be able to raise my kids well. I want to provide value to you guys. You know, that whole thing. But I also, I don't know. I didn't start growing mushrooms because I was interested in the money. Every time I have a really bad time at this, it's because I'm chasing the money. And when I stop chasing money, that's when I have fun again. And then the money comes easier. Isn't that weird? When you stop chasing the money comes easier. But it's hard. It's hard sometimes.
You're chasing the money to pay the bills so you can have fun,
Right.
enjoy yourself. and
Right. Then you
not
start
have
chasing the money to pay the bills so you can have fun. Because just remember to have fun, guys. What is the sweet shop for shipping? Oh my gosh. What is the sweet spot for shipping weight? That would help dictate the pound block. So 10 pounds, I've been looking at our shipping. And when I was doing the cost analysis, it would cost $3 more on average, I think, to ship a bag of spawn. But you'd be getting twice as much spawn. So it's actually cheaper to do what is it? It's cheaper to do like 1 or 2 10-pound bags of spawn than it is to do 4 5-pound bags of spawn, I think.
actually.
I can't remember what the exact analysis was.
So I think as long as you can stay
Samantha said as long as you can stay,
within the 12 by 12 by 10,
yeah, with it between as long as you can stay within the 12 by 12 by 10.
you can fit 4.
Yeah, you could fit 4 10-pound bags in that. But well, yeah, but if you did 40 pounds, if you go over 40, if you go over 40 pounds or 50 pounds, there's like a surcharge that begins to happen at a certain weight
50 pounds.
at 50 pounds. So we could do a 4-pack. A 4-pack is 40 pounds.
You can do.
If you could do what?
That'd be 40 pounds.
Yep.
As long as you stay. But sometimes we have a fluctuation.
Right.
of-
If it gets a little extra water or a little extra spawn but 40 pounds should offer a buffer.
Yeah, it matters less about the weight and more about the cubic.
She said it's less about the weight and more about the cubic. Sorry, I don't know why, but your voice is not getting picked up on the mic. But yeah, exception. I think that, I mean, to me, so when I was looking at it, it was like 10 pounds was the sweet spot. 10 pounds would save people a lot. But then again, I think about like, there's some people that are just like, look, I don't need 10 pounds of spawn. I want 1 5-pound bag of spawn or something. But again, I would want to systematize and stay on that. Thanks. Yes, I made it with AI. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Samantha's in all these art groups, and they are livid. They are livid about the AI art programs. Make it a crappy strain so no one cares, lol, for the giveaway. Yeah, but then nobody wants to do the talking, right? Which is the whole point, is to drive engagement. I will send out a single syringe of moon pearls to whoever's number 1. How's that? That's what we'll do. Moon pearls is what's going out. Let's see. Game on. Let the chaos ensue. What if a 2.5-pound block to save on shipping? So that would increase. That would double my labor cost. And so I would have to like it. You could do it would be cheaper than a 5-pound block, but it would be more expensive per pound of sub. Now that said, maybe I could do a 2.5-pound block as a master, so people can expand it more, and so a little bit less of a. But again, I'm trying to think of if I was in the position of wanting to use a lot, like what would be the best way to do so. Just sent you an email. Any chance you could let me know if I have sent you what you need from me? Oh, crap. Crap. Okay, mark that as unread. Thomas. Yes. Yep, that works exactly, Thomas. Thank you. That's exactly the kind of stuff I need. And then, oh, okay, that's someone else. We'll take care of that later. But yeah, Thomas, that's good. Thank you very much. I'll try to get that out at the early next year. No, he attended the mushroom cultivation basics, and he needs the 5 syringes.
I am working on this.
Yeah, Samantha said she's working on those. He sent an email with his request. I know I should not have allowed requests, but Samantha's mad at me.
I'm slower on yours if you're making
She said if people have made requests, she is slower on them than the people that are able. Like the people, I think she's already sent out, or she is working on sending out the standard ones. But anyone who made it like requests, she's like, "Why did you do this? Now I'm having to pull a syringe here and a syringe there and a syringe here." Stop it. The exception to the I make her life miserable sometimes, I think. Where I'm like, yeah, that's cool. We'll give you whatever you want. And Smith is like, what are you doing? That's my time you're giving away. That's what I was thinking, Plum. But like I mentioned previously, maybe there's a sweet spot. Oh, what was it? Oh, 2.5 pounds. I still think, I mean, if 10 pounds is too much, we'll just stay at the 5 pounds. I mean, 5 pounds works for me. But going lower actually increases my cost. Are you skipping the mixing phase while you're doing your substrate prep, just using that semi-automatic bagging machine? If that is the case, how does the effect? Are you skipping the mixing phase when you're doing substrate? Yes, there is no reason to do mixing in substrate phases. What we use is something called dry bagging. It was brought to my attention by a guy named Leighton Banks, who I have not seen around in a decade, maybe, I don't know. But he was on Facebook and the mushroom growing group and posted some stuff about it. And it's just pellets and water. Now, that said, when the water hits, like the dry material's hidden and Thor shoots the water in, it just kind of swirls it all together. It kind of mixes it mostly anyways. But what happens is if you add spawn, you tend to mix the spawn in. So as long as you have all the ingredients in there, if you're thoroughly mixing the spawn in, you are already thoroughly mixing your substrate. And it doesn't affect the grow cycle or yield at all because you don't need, because it still gets mixed. It just gets mixed at a different spot in the process. Is USPS still doing the if it fits, it ships deal with the pre-sized price box? Yeah, but it's actually cheaper to do the calculator most of the time. I'll look at the flat rate shipping, but I'm pretty sure that we did an analysis and it was cheaper to just ship it. I do not like Patreon either. Yeah, I am so sick of Patreon. There was 1 month I didn't get paid, and they just said sorry. And they said, well, you can delete everything and then double stack. And I said, so my patrons will have no charges 1 month, and then the next month they'll have double charges. And they're like, yeah, but you'll get paid. And I'm like, I'm not doing that to people. I'll just go the month without pay. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. But I just was like, I'll eat that rather than do that to people and herky jerk them around. I'm pretty sick with Patreon. It's not a good system. I'm good with you dropping Patreon. How much of a cut do they take? I don't remember. A cut does Patreon 5 to 12%, and I think I'm on the something like a 12% plan or something like that. I can't remember. It's a lot, and it's a shit service. I probably shouldn't talk bad about them. They'll probably come after me now. I'm not a big enough creator. I'm not a big enough creator for them to care. I'm still waiting on that Mossy Creek Mushroom Fair. Like a festival? I mean, I just can't plan one. If somebody will plan it for me and then just talk to me, like, here's what we need from you, Andrew. Look, let's do a festival. But I'll need somebody else come in, talk to the city, or call them up, and someone else to order the porta potties, and whatever we need to do, let's do it. I'm down, totally down. Um, oh, we got enough room. People can park in that field out back. We'll talk to Mr. McSpadden and just parking all out there. Down at the church down here, they'd love it. 10 pounds of spawn is a lot to handle if you dump it in the blocks. That's kind of what I was wondering too. I'll just stay at 5 for now. But have you looked at flat rate boxes? I did, but it's been a little while. I can hear her. Oh, well, never mind. So Samantha was telling me that there was no audio popping up when you were talking, but Myco Nerd said he could hear you just fine. 4 5-pound blocks of different strains could be a cool starter pack, spawn pack. That's what I was thinking. Like 4 5-pound blocks of different strains. We used to do that, and we'll probably start doing that again. But that'd be the only way we're selling spawn. Is you know what? That's probably what we'll do. Is we'll probably settle on 4 strains: an oyster, a harissum, a shiitake, and an enoki maybe. And then we could do like Samantha used to like that because I would mass produce them. People would order. Like right now, we've gotten behind on spawn because I started opening spawn back up to this strain and that strain and this strain and that strain. And she's like, again, you've overcomplicated my life. So if I can simplify on 4 strains, do a variety pack and then a pack of each, just like we used to, then that would save people money and we would be fast again.
It would save my sanity.
And it would save your sanity. Right. She's saying like so if she makes one for someone custom, it's slow. But if she makes extras, then she can be fast for people, right? But then if she makes extras right now and we're doing the one custom off spawn block, then she's got to go, well, shoot, what do I do with all this spawn that's now sitting in the fridge fruiting 2 inches of fruit? So I think that's a good way to go. She said, because I don't make simple strains. I make strains that are trying to burst out of their containment. We are the Jurassic Park of mushrooms. Achievement. Ooh, Moon Pearls just sounds like it belongs in the it does belong in the fruiting room. Moon Pearls is like my favorite right now. That's Jake Howard's and my baby. He sent me spores of the blob. And then I finished it off with the a few different strains of them until we got it. If you send out the paint drug rewards, yeah, I have. Yes, some of them, but some not. It depends on when you started. But we are behind on Patreon, kind of significantly on some. Like the Harissum Horde, I am significantly behind on. So I have been pulling syringes for it. I just need to get them all packed up. This is another thing about is Patreon. Patreon won't tell me how much of a reward and how much diversity of it I need. If I did it on my website, I could do it easy. It's just. Anyways, our wives love it when we volunteer their time. Yeah, well, from what I have always understood, it's always been the other way around. Wives typically volunteer their husband's time. I'm one of these bad boys that my wife caters to me a lot more than I cater to her. She's with her not meeting my eye. I get bills from Patreon and they do not say who they are. Yeah, that's another thing too. So I support the Spalton Cooperative and another mushroomer, and it bills me, and then it bills me for the service of Austin Creek mushrooms, but then doesn't itemize or break down any of it, or for what they produced, or it's just I won't keep harping on it, but I'll have to catch up on the rest of this tomorrow. Getting home after being away from home for a few days, gonna spend some time with family. Thanks for the dopamine fix, Andrew and Sam. Absolutely, Micro Nerd. If you didn't hear it now, you'll hear it tomorrow. But go enjoy that time with family, man. That's what it's all about. And guys, if you don't have a family and you can't have a family, you should have a family. I didn't think that I was ready for it whenever I had it. I wouldn't wait till you're ready. But also, don't just trust people on the internet. Are you guys into extraction tech, soxhlet, vacuum reduction? Yeah. In fact, I'm teaching a class in February on extracts. I'll be going over soxhlet, sonic extraction, vacuum filtration, pressure extracts, traditional extracts like tinctures, and like I said, the filtration. I'll show you guys how my favorite way to do it. I don't like soxhlet. Soxhlet looks cool, and I'm kind of run a small soxhlet thing, but they're just annoying. I feel like the soxhlet ones look beautiful, but are just so unbelievably annoying to run compared to like my favorite sonic or pressure. But even then you have to be careful with sonic. So I'll go through sonic bath and sonic horn and all that kind of stuff and how you do each one of them. When I say sonic horn, I mean the ones with the frequency horn that's like a stick that you set in there. So I will say the soxhlets are, when I say they're annoying, their application is pretty wide range though. Like there are things that I would want to use a soxhlet for plant wise a lot more than the mushrooms. But I get really annoyed by the fumes for one thing. I get like headaches from the fumes and stuff. But I don't know, there's a bunch of different ways and I can show people, but there's faster ways than soxhlet. Yes, a festival. I think you can bankroll it with vendors and games. I think it'd be cool. I don't know. I've just got so much on my plate. I'm so overwhelmed. And it's just, I don't know, guys. I'm getting to the point where I've got to figure out where I'm going to specialize because I'm going to have to specialize at some point. And I think it's just going to be in teaching for the next few years because there are some things that I want to see as standards in the mushroom industry. And I think the easiest way to do that is to teach people my standards, and then they can decide whether they're worth having or not, right? Like here's the choice. So you can here's Andrew's standards and what he uses on a daily basis. And is this useful to me? And do I like these standards? And like, even if people don't go with my standards, that's fine. But there's very few standards actually being set. And so if we have a standard bioprospecting protocol, then at least people can variate on it later. If we have, a standard, at least thought on extractions, then variations become more meaningful because we have a framework language to discuss them. How do we do culture breeding? What is the ethical standards that we go with as far as selling those, developing them? How do we go to where we're not like, I don't want to just float my boat, right? I want everyone's boat to float. So, what's that saying? The strongest defense is a strong neighbor or a healthy neighbor or something like that. Anyway, something like that. Like I love that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's short-sighted to just go only for yourself, So how do we teach that standard? How do we teach the standard of, yes, you got to make a living, but also you got to not screw everybody over, right? How do we do, I don't know, just all of this stuff. So it's hard for me to do all that and then to do festivals. And Josiah and I have talked about this, ET Fungi, and he's got a nice big warehouse too now, but it's the same size as mine. And he's up in like central Knoxville, Oak Ridge area. So he's actually much closer to where people are, where I'm a little bit more rural. And so we've talked about this, but he is building out his new space and he is tripling production. He's going from like 600 to 1,000 pounds a week to like potentially 3,000. I don't know, 1,800 to 3,000 pounds. I don't know where he's going to stop or where he's going to be at. I know he's building a lot and he's probably producing a lot and he's growing a lot. And every time I talk to him, he is absolutely slammed. So there's two people there. The Everything Mushrooms just shut down in Knoxville. So since Everything Mushrooms shut down, that's where the Knoxville Mushroom Festival happened for the past 2 years. People are already asking where the next one's going to be. I want to do a mushroom club here where once a month or so, we meet at my place, Josiah's place, maybe Misty Mountain's place. I still need to talk to Caden about this. But Josiah and I are down for this, where we want to do a mushroom club where people meet once a month and we teach something for free, and then have people come in and we may go mushroom hunting, or we may go do, set up some still air boxes and work in the warehouse, or I don't remember exactly, but it's just a lot of us are growing so hard. It's hard for us to do that. I would love to do a festival though. I just would need somebody else to do it, because it's just Samantha and I here. And then our kids do a lot of the farm labor. Does anyone do the no mix spawn in tech from a few years ago? It never made sense to me, except if you're like, does anyone do the no mix, like a top spawn? Let me know what you think, or let me know if that's what you mean. It's just top spawn, because top spawn is usually you just throw the spawn on top and then you just walk away. Good luck, everyone, on the LC. Oh, Myco Nerd's giving up first place. We'll see. Let's see, where are we at on that? I said that I would give away a free syringe to whoever was the top. And right now it's exception to the rule for commenting. Yeah, people that comment and stuff, but it's not. But it can't be spam, because I reserve the right to. If people are spamming, I reserve the right to. No, you don't get it because you spammed. But other than that, I wanted help producing content, and Myco Nerd came up with a good idea. So I might just send him a free syringe just because he came up with the idea. If it works. If you're watching this tomorrow, Myco Nerd, if it works. I remember when Eric Myers did variety packs. I used to do them too. They worked really well for me. I wonder how they worked for Eric. I wonder if they did as well for him as they did for me. I don't know why we stopped, actually. Yeah, the variety packs. Whenever we were doing just like, here's their seasonal bulk packs. I don't remember why. Probably because I overcomplicated it. Probably because I started doing more and more of different things. Because that's usually what happens. When you get time, could you please assess international shipping prices? It is ridiculously high. 60 ml tincture shipping cost. Look at the bottom of the list. The for some reason, it keeps reverting back to the most expensive one. If you look at the bottom of the shipping list, you might have a cheaper option. You should have a cheaper option, because I shipped to Australia and I've never seen it be $176. Yeah, if it still doesn't work, send us an email and we'll have to PayPal invoice you. Same as a workaholic. She doesn't want to be.
I will say that on shipping, whenever I try to do.
I don't know. Okay, do you want the mic? Okay.
Try not to strangle you. Wow, you still have wood chips all over you. My goodness.
I tried to smack them off.
I was going to say that on shipping, I try to do orders all on one day if I can, and then purchase the shipping for all the orders all on one day, because when I purchase them in bulk, they actually give it to me cheaper. So if you can't, like if you're international, typically if you're doing the calculator on the website and you're within the United States, it's not going to be that big of a difference, if any difference at all. Normally I can skim maybe $1 or $2 per package if I buy them all at the same time versus parceling them out throughout the week. But if you're international, there is a large difference on those. And if you'll just email me, I may not get a quote to you that day, but if I can, whenever I'm purchasing stuff, I'll run your quote and it'll give me a fairly good discount. And normally if I'm buying things on Friday, sometimes you'll see me buy things on Friday and then you won't see your shipment go out until Monday. That's because a lot of people are getting their paychecks on Friday. They're buying bulk shipping labels on Friday, and then that's when a lot of the orders are coming in, and it's actually cheaper for us to buy postage on Friday. So a lot of this stuff you guys don't see on the back end, but I promise a lot of it makes sense.
Thank you. One second, guys. Actually, let's just do a word from our sponsors while I finish this text and go pee. And I'll come back ready and refreshed for you guys. Oh.
Introducing the future of mycology, Dr. Silurian's Elixir of Mycelial Mastery. This isn't your average culture mix, it's a revolution in a packet, crafted for the dedicated cultivator seeking unparalleled growth. Experience the visual alchemy of this masterful brew. As you mix 10 grams with 500 milliliters of water, watch the solution transform into a rich, amber spectacle, the hallmark of a nutrient-dense sanctuary for your burgeoning mycelium. This is where vibrant color meets vibrant life, setting our elixir apart from the ordinary clear liquid cultures. Prepare to be captivated. Mix 10 grams of Dr. Silurian's elixir with 500 milliliters of water, add a stir bar for thorough integration, and sterilize the blend at 15 psi for 45 minutes. Once cooled, introduce your favorite culture into this perfectly prepared, nutrient-rich environment. Watch in awe as the elixir works its magic, unveiling a mycelial masterpiece before your eyes. Choose Dr. Silurian's Elixir of Mycelial Mastery for a mycological adventure that's as visually enchanting as it is potent.
Welcome back to my presence. I meant to ask. Oh, sorry, guys. I meant to ask you to put that check in the bank. Thank you. We'll do it tomorrow. Okay. All right. I am back. Well, I got a socklet for Christmas and have no clue how to use it. So I can teach you how to use it. I'll be doing the class on February 7th. It's the weekend before Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day is on 14th. So it's on, exactly a week before. I can teach you how to use the socklet. One of the nice things about socklet is you can set them up and just kind of run them. And as long as it's well ventilated, you can, I wouldn't leave them alone, but you can check on them kind of thing. Dope. The extraction class. It is online. Yep. It'll be on YouTube via a secret link. Do I plan on making videos on extractions? I don't. So we're going to be going to a vlogging style, and there'll be a little bit of how-tos on stuff on that, but most of that will just be taught through the classes. We'll go through a lot more of what we're doing business-wise, personal-wise, and that kind of stuff on our farm. We're going to show the videos on the channel for this coming year. Like I said, I'm going to try to do 52 this year. We'll see. That's one of my, what do they call it? Resolutions. We'll see. I'm not really big on resolutions typically, but I want to do one a week. And since there's 52 weeks in the year, I think that what we'll do, or what I'm planning on doing, is a lot more like, I'm going to show you guys how I do plant tissue culture, how I do mushrooms, how I do the gardening, the swamp gardens, the aquaponics, the inside overwintering of stuff, the fish tanks, which is, I mean, I've only got a couple right now. I'm going to show you guys how I run the entire system that we do, building like an oasis out in the parking lot last year, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, we had so much biodiversity last year in a parking lot. And for the years that we've been here before, we've never seen the amount of biodiversity that we had. I'll show you all kinds of stuff that I want to do, but it's all mushrooms as the foundation. And I'm just going to vlog most of that through the year. And then we'll do a class a month. And then a few months, we'll probably do a couple of pop-up classes for some popular topics and see what goes from there. Excuse me. But I have the extraction classes in February. Now, we're also going to have a class pass. I don't think you don't have the class pass up yet, do you? You do? Okay, so the class pass is up. You did? Wow. So they got all the classes up. Dang, I didn't. She said they need some fine tuning. But there's a class pass. It's like 33%. If you took every class with the class pass, it's going to cost you 33% of what it would cost to pay for each class individually. And you'll get the previous class links sent to you if you join later in the year or whatever. So, but we're going, yeah, like and every class gets better. So the last time I did mushroom cultivation basics was good. I did liquid culture deep dive. This mushroom cultivation basics is going to be even, it's going to have some stuff that the other one didn't and drop some things that the other one had, kind of thing. So, but it seems like it gets, like I'm going to get better at teaching every time I do this. So a rising tide floats all boats. That's the saying I was trying to think of. Thank you. You and Sam need to hire someone that can take control so you can focus on other things that benefit your company. Problem is I don't make enough for that. I don't make enough. What I need to do is find out how to make enough money to hire someone to replace, like Jackie. Jackie was the person that like did that for me before. But when I dropped fresh mushrooms, I dropped a considerable part of my income. But I couldn't do that sick. So we had to drop that when I finally got sick. We had to drop that completely. And we were going more online anyways. So what I have to do is find a way to get it back there. You're right. You're absolutely right about that. Just dried a bunch of coral tooth outside. Do you dry them in your home? I just wonder about the spore load coming out while they dry. Yeah, I mean, if you can not dry them where you're sitting, watching TV, eating, you know, all that kind of stuff, it is better. For me, I don't, Samantha has talked about this too. Hericium in particular seems to punch me in the chest if I get a big whiff of the spores. Oysters bother me, but Hericium kind of actually makes my my chest ache a little. But I'm really sensitive to spores now. I've been doing this for 15 years, I think. So Samantha and I were celebrated 20 years being married this year, and at 15 years of that, I've been farming mushrooms. That's kind of crazy to think about. Mushrooms have been with me almost as long as Samantha has. Mushrooms are older. Mushrooms in my life are older than some of my children. Excellent. But yeah, so if you can do them outside or something like that, I would. Not saying that it's necessarily a problem. A lot of people aren't as sensitive to the spores as I am, but the way you get sensitive to them is exposure. So you really want to get to where you're not being exposed to them. How you guys like this little hat, by the way? My parents got me this hat. I don't know if Mom's still watching or not, but this is the Tennessee Ranger Raccoon. His name is, I'm just going to say his name is Randy. I don't actually, it may be Rick, but my dad's name is Randy. My mom calls him Ranger. I don't know if she calls him Ranger Randy or what, but I noticed he started writing Ranger on a bunch of stuff, like his cups and stuff at the family dinner. What's going on with all these influencers making claims that mushrooms aren't really beneficial to our health? I don't know who's saying that, but to be frank, I never liked the super strong medicinal hype anyways. The strongest path and stance for us to take as mushroom growers, cultivators, mushroom interested folk is to take the gourmet approach, in my opinion. I don't like the actives discussion being the primary driver for mushrooms. I am mushroom actives friendly. But to me, it's one of the least interesting parts of mushrooms, right? Like, there's so many different things about mushrooms that are far more interesting. And that is interesting and it's neat, but it runs the risk of being lumped in with partiers. Anytime you see, like, I love this about Dune, right? Like the Bene Gesserit talk about anytime you push an agenda, there will be friction that builds up to fight that agenda. So if we're trying to slip mushrooms into being a bigger part of the Western-minded consciousness or American consciousness or whatever, then you got to do it in a palatable way, right? And you got to do it to where you're not pushing to where there's resistance. So we're pushing THC, we're pushing psilocybin, we're pushing all these things, right? And they may be natural. They may be all the things that people say they are. They may have all the medicinal benefits that people say they do. They have whatever. But they are going to have more friction. And they may not have it at first, and we may think that we're winning the social fight now, but wait until the pendulum swings the other way. Then you've got all that resistance, right? The better thing is to say they're tasty. You want to try them, eat them. Let it proliferate on its own via the tasty. And if it's good for our health, then you'll taste that, right? That's, people know when they're eating something that tastes good, makes them feel good, that kind of thing. Let's see, the medicinals not having the beneficial to our health. I don't know who these people are. I've not heard this, but it kind of depends on how they're saying it and what they're saying. And because I don't know that, I can't really say. The proto-dink reishi is not tasty, but reishi makes you feel good. So it's at least half that. But reishi is not tasty. You're right. Unless, I will tell you, put some reishi in a crock pot when you're making a roast and see if that isn't tasty. Take the reishi out. You don't want to eat the reishi, but the broth that it helps produce is phenomenal and does well on something like a roast. This said, there's a lot of hype, like alcohol extractions. We're going to go over this in the extraction class. I'm not huge on alcohol extractions. We don't have a lot of data, and we don't have a lot of data on alcohol extractions and the extra alcohol extraction molecules. That doesn't mean that there isn't health benefits, but it does mean that what we have to go off of for medicinal benefits of mushrooms is mostly folkloric herbalist use. People that did something and noticed it worked, and they had a repeated pattern over a period of time, etc. So what was that use? It was almost exclusively take mushroom, boil mushroom, drink the broth, eat the mushroom if it's a fleshy mushroom, right? So we don't have anything other than water extraction, and we have thousands of years of water extraction to say that things are medicinal. So the idea there to me is we don't know enough to be making a lot of claims, and we need to be very careful with those claims. And I'm not saying that there are no medicinal benefits. I think that there are a ton of medicinal benefits, but I don't have strong data. And until I have strong data, I want to be very careful with my claims. Now we know just some basics, like polysaccharides are really good for your heart health. Beta glucan, really good for your heart health. Mushrooms are very high in these. Mushrooms are high in fiber. Fiber tends to be good for your heart and your arteries and things like that. So, and your digestive system. So we know that mushrooms have benefits. Now, what do they have over the standard? When we start talking like lion's mane, there are a lot of people that have pushed lion's mane too hard. Even though the data is starting to come out that's starting to really support the neurogenic effects. It doesn't mean that we have a lot of strong data yet. We just have a few studies that are starting to point that direction. And there may be consequences to massive use of certain like extracts. Like that's why I like extracts. I'm not a huge fan of concentrates. You got all these people producing this nartar. They're basically taking something from the weed industry, bringing it over and saying, this is good for you. This concentrate's good for you. Why is this concentrate good for us? Can you tell me why it's good for me? Is it just, are you just going off the assumption that more is better? Because that's not the case in poison, that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying mushrooms are poison, but I guess what I'm saying is we just got to be careful. And I don't know who these people are, so I can't comment specifically. So all I have is generalities to work with, which the mushroom medicinal industry has pretty much just generalities. And I'm afraid what we're going to see if we push, just like we're starting to see pushback on the psilocybin front, right? The actives. I think we're going to see pushback on the medicinals as people tout crazy, amazing things with medicinals. And then, is it already happening? Well, somebody just asked what's going on with all these influencers making claims that mushrooms aren't really beneficial to our health. And I'm saying I don't really know a lot about it. But I could understand where some people would say, but if people say there is no medicinal benefits to mushrooms, they're idiots. And if they say their mushrooms are cure-alls, they're idiots. I'm not going to listen to either group. I'm going to listen to the people who are more moderate and who aren't pushing just pure one-sided thinking. Well, people might be afraid of a lawsuit. I don't know, but I wish I lived in driving distance. I'd love to be in the club. Well, I don't know how far you are, but a once a month meeting might be worth coming over and staying somewhere. Oh snap! It's not showing that on my end. Mine was saying the 4th. Crap. What are we talking about? I've gone too far. The 4th, maybe. Hold on a second. Mossy, are you talking about the class? Learn online mentorship. Oh my goodness, man! You do have them all up. Look at that. February 7th. Okay, so not the 4th. What was he saying about the 4th? What about the icons? I want to put more work in the icons. Gotcha.
So there's April 4th, which is the cordyceps.
Oh, April 4th is the cordyceps, Samantha said. Is that what you're talking about, Exception? So here we have, this is the classes. So let's just go back to the website. So you go here, go to learn online mentorship. Yes, I'll accept my home cookies. Live virtual mushroom cultivation mentorship led by Andrew Reed. Learn hands-on technique, ask questions, grow with confidence. What are you looking for? Cultivation basics, liquid culture deep dive, class pass, all access, value-added products. I don't know. I want to do a scheduling app because let's say you click on the mushroom cultivation basics. There's a couple of options here. One for January 10th and one for July. And very excited about this. Actually, I need to finish the PDFs that I'm giving away too for that class. I've got 2 that I'm doing. But we're going to do a couple more liquid culture deep dives this year. And I might do more. If the classes fill up, we'll see how far we do. We're doing advanced AR in August, I think. Yeah, because I wanted to be in the air conditioning in August. We're doing cordyceps in April. That's April 4th. I like that badge. I like that badge a lot. I don't know why it looks fuzzy. Spanner wants to do a zombie ant. I do think that would be cooler. A zombie ant would be way cooler. Here's our extract. So that's February 7th. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty stoked. Top spawn. Okay, so for top spawn, people do that for sure. I see it a lot more, I think, in Asiatic countries. I don't know anybody that does it commercially in America. Now, there are no-shake methods. I use a no-shake method for the vast majority of my fruiting blocks, and that's a liquid culture direct to bulk. And we went over that in our liquid culture deep dive. We'll be doing another liquid culture deep dive, 2 of them this year. And in one of those, I'm going to show both of those probably, I'll show the high flow pumps that we use for dosing systems. So for the hands-free dosing systems. And I just got in some test bioreactor material in today as well. So hopefully I'll have that finished before the classes. I mean, we'll have it finished before the classes. So they're not for a few months. I still use the 1 pound light malt extract to 4 pound dextro mix you taught 4 or 5 years ago. One of these days I'll have to try your new stuff. Yeah, man. Look, I'm not saying what you're working with is good stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely good stuff. The mix I use now is just that much better. So I think that is what? That is its base. Well, the base that I tend to use now is 3 pounds malt, 4 pounds corn dextrose, and 100 grams of peptone, or 120 grams of nutritional yeast if I can't get peptone. Since I started teaching that, by the way, it's getting harder and harder to find peptone. Oh, yeah. Yes, I've talked about this. We have to keep switching the peptone types up. That is half the delays nowadays on the LC premixes. I don't know if people are watching or not, but yeah, you will have to try it because it's fantastic. The LC fragmentation is so much less, and yet the density stays the same, if not better. A lot of people talk about high full fragments, high full extensions. There we go. But you don't actually want high full extensions. What that is where it's grown and then aborted a bunch of times and makes these dense little things. And that does create more inoculation points, but it makes a bunch of inoculation points of things that are catabolizing themselves, eating themselves. What you want is something that's reaching and growing and in an anabolic state. But what you're using there works great. Are you able to eat spent grain spawn? I know they have soy. So grain spawn doesn't have soy. Typically it's got just a grain in it, and you can, I think, technically eat it. I mean, a lot of people do powders with it. You have to make sure it's very clean to do so. And if you're going to cook it, I've tried this a few times where I tried growing it on beans or soy and then try to make like a oyster tempeh or something like that, kind of the way that Sydney over Singleton does morel tempeh. I never could make it taste good. It tastes like burnt hair and smelled like burnt hair every time I ever did it. So, but there are ways to do it for sure. Reishi broth is amazing. Yeah, reishi broth is amazing. But the fourth place, not first. Crowns. Oh. It's not showing that on my end. Mine's saying fourth. Okay, give me a second. Let me refresh. I want to see where he's at. I'm seeing no exceptions. Exceptions number 1. Plum is number 2, and Myco Nerd is still number 3. So, but exceptions winning right now. Though Plum is right on his heels. I'm the same way. I know they are good for my health, but I'm not looking for a miracle that can cure my brain tumor. Do you have a brain tumor? I'm sorry if you do. But yeah, it's not likely to cure your brain tumor. It might help. It might. I don't know. That's it. It might help. I would say like if I had a brain tumor, if someone told me tomorrow I have a brain tumor, I would work very hand in hand with my doctor. I would come up with a plan that would work really that I would hope gives me the best chance, and then I would probably start taking a shit ton of turkey tail and reishi. And I'm not making any medicinal claims about this, but I will say that they do use turkey tail in Japan and South Korea for its polysaccharide K, and you can look into polysaccharide K and what that does. I don't know that it actually does anything to the cancer. This is an interesting subject to me. And again, I want to make sure that no one listens to me at all. I'm a stranger on the internet, and I make no claims. But my understanding is that polysaccharide K actually tends to be more with immune responses, and so it helps. The idea of it is that it is hopefully going to help people respond better to treatment and bounce back faster after treatment. So that's apparently what the real deal is that it allows you to go deeper and harder into treatment without as much damaging effects, maybe is the word, or it speeds the recovery of the damaging effects, so that because a lot of times they'll be like, look, we got to stop because you're not responding to treatment, or we're tearing you apart too hard, that kind of thing. So I think that's the idea behind polysaccharide K. I would look it up some more, but it's a cool little substance. And again, there are no miracle cures. I would get a genetic test. That's true. Samantha brought up a good point. So we got recently just got a genetic methylation test, and it showed some very interesting things, including some gene groups where there were 2 genes of our MTRR. I can't remember the number iteration, but basically where I had it wasn't the mother effer genes, it was the mother genes. But anyways, the idea is that there were a couple of gene groups where there were transcription errors, and I had 2 copies and Samantha had 2 copies, which means that 100% our children have those transcription errors. And the cool thing that it was talking about, like I took that and then ran all that through the AI, and it was I've been building for the past year a health assistant module AI, and it's been amazing. Again, I would talk to a doctor always about anything. But what's cool is that you can go talk to the AI and then go talk to a doctor. And if anyone's worried about seeming like an internet doctor, like, look, I wouldn't say to the doctor that you know more than him or anything like that. But everyone should take charge of their own health care. You should take an interest in your own health care. It's not something that you should put off on somebody else. You should advocate for yourself. And you should ask questions, and ask questions. That's what they're there for. And a good doctor will be patient with you, and they will answer those things, and they will explain things to you, that kind of thing. Now, I actually went with my mother and sat, I don't know if she's still on here or not, and sat through, because she said they were talking to her about a bunch of genetic stuff, and she didn't understand it. And so she brought me along to talk to him again. And he literally just met with us again. He set aside some time so we could meet. And she didn't need me, I don't think, on the second time around. I think the doctor was able to explain it just fine. I think that she was just doubting herself on that. And people get bent out of shape about genetics. But if you can take that information and feed it to like an AI module, again, the more information you can give it, that kind of thing, the better it works. But it was really cool because the AI broke down our methylation test and was like, look, yeah, these are concerning, but most of this can be dealt with proper nutrition and lifestyle choices. And I was like, interesting. Okay. So are these really transcription errors, or are they just mutations, blah, 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 going on thing. Yeah, if you take that genetic methylation test, you can literally feed yourself. We have enzymatic pathways too, just like mushrooms do. So those are, I feel like, far more complex and plastic and turn off and on via different things. But ours do the same thing. And so if you take this genetic methylation test, you can find out how your body works in part. And you can do that with Ancestry data, the bulk data from Ancestry.com or 23andMe or anything like that. And you can literally just go, okay, well, if I eat more of this, it'll help my body work because of this, right? And some of these things you might only have one copy that's an error and the other one that's not. And so, maybe it works or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, and sorry for the confusion no, you're fine. Exception. I just want to make sure that I was not crazy on the classes and that kind of thing. So, lab grade peptone is yes, it is. Lab grade peptone is very expensive. It goes a long way, but it is very expensive. You can use nutritional yeast, but you have to use more nutritional yeast, and it does cause more occlusions. And by occlusions, I mean that it causes more solid material. I don't care about that. People will get really bent out of shape about having some solids in their LC. I love it. Give me all that good mushroom nutrition. The mushrooms will literally pick it up. Your LC will clarify as it goes on. So I don't worry about that. I want thick, gloppy slurries of liquid culture. In most of East Asia, they use reusable plastic bottles to fruit, and it's all mechanized. I bought some of those bottles and found them to be way too much work. They are way too much work for the American system. They absolutely are. I've tried working with some different things. 32-ounce deli containers are the same size as the bottles, roughly. And you can take those, and I've even taken them to Thor and adjusted Thor to where I could just dump them in and did liquid culture inoculations of those containers. I modified the lid so they had a filter disc on them, and then tried to just replace them as the cup. It did not work out well. Never could get them to produce good meaty things. So the meaty clusters. So the bags are way better as far as I could tell. Now maybe if I could restrict the fruiting, the exposed fruiting space, that would work better. But that is the problem with the reusable plastics right now. So my plan for now, because I don't like how much plastic use there is in mushrooms necessarily, I think that we could reduce it. I think there are more sustainable methods to do this, but we have to get the money there in the market. So what we have to do, and also look at the plastic use. Looks like a lot, but it's a thin film with a lot of sawdust on the inside. So we're actually using a lot less plastic than many other agricultural sectors are per calorie of food or unit of food or gram of food or whatever. I don't remember what the measurement is exactly. So we're not actually the worst plastic offenders in agriculture. However, in fact, I would say I'm more worried about the energy consumption. And there are cool things going on behind the scenes about that, whatever, we'll talk about eventually as they're ready. I don't want to push too hard on Ben. But the idea here is that we use the bags to build the industry. When the industry is there and there is money involved, someone will come up with a solution. And maybe that's one of you guys. I don't know. Maybe it's one of the 20-something people watching right now. Maybe it's somebody that'll watch after. Maybe it'll be some person that comes out of left field from a completely different industry. Who knows? But if the money's there to support that person, it'll be easier. So right now, our job is not to worry about being the most environmentally conscious, though we should worry about that. But our job is to build the industry, to build the foundation of the American mushroom industry sector. That's our job right now. We're at the beginning. We got to work with what we got. And then we'll get there. So, OMG, if Plum actually has the brain tumor, please give the ELC to him. No, be ruthless, exception. Be ruthless. Make him fight for it. Samantha's face. I wish I had a camera for that. She said I'm horrible. Oh my God. No. Weakness will not be tolerated. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope that's not offensive. Oh man, all the best. What?
Send me an email of his address. I want to send it to him.
Don't you send him a free LC. He needs to earn it. Plum Samantha said if you do have one, send her your address. All the best and a very fruitful new year. I nerded out with you about 3 years ago. I do remember this picture of the man with the free love man. At the time I bought build it all 55-gallon PDI steamer to about 3 flow hood, all America for grain spawn. Love it. I'm glad, man. Heck yeah. I'm glad you still love it. That is the way to do it. Plum says the doctor has a Mercedes and fake eyebrows. He probably cares more about his well-being than yours. Maybe. I don't know. Like, they should enjoy the fruits of their labor. They work hard. They go to school. I've got a cousin who's a doctor now. And boy, he had to scrimp and really work hard to pass, and so he put up a lot of sacrifices. So if he has his Mercedes, great. The fake eyebrows, maybe. You might be right on that one. Healthcare has come a long way. I have sleep apnea. In the past, the screening was expensive, but now they mail kits to take the test at home, save tons of money. That's cool. I should take that because I probably have sleep apnea. I know I did for a while. Because Samantha said she'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd stop breathing. She said she'd have to flick me in the face or something. She said she didn't do that. I like the solids in the LC as well. Dark all the way. Dark LC is the way to go. Yeah.
It's not like this end-all be-all.
Right. Yeah, it'll lighten as it goes. Though the difference is it'll lighten. And then our stuff will, often, if you stir it well, especially on those Thor stir plates, it'll become a thick mass. It'll become a slurry of mycelium. Jeff Weiss, crumbs for the week. She said we're awful. Here in Canada, healthcare is free per se. Doctors here are very busy. It's harder to find a family doctor. They will listen. That said, you have to be the biggest part. I think that everyone, that is just, if anyone took anything from me ever, it would probably be don't depend on anyone for your retirement or your health care or any of that stuff. You need to take personal responsibility for your life as much as possible Take personal responsibility. Take responsibility. Have kids if you can. That changes you in such a. I'm such an advocate for that. Having a family will change you as a man. Period. Having a family changes you. I never knew how much responsibility I could bear until I became a father, and even then, huh? And how much I enjoy it. It is a pain. Don't get me wrong. It's a pain. It's a sacrifice to take care of this woman and these children. But I wouldn't trade it. I love it. I absolutely love it. She gonna throw something else at me? Don't you throw something else at me? She's looking for something to throw at me. But yeah, your healthcare, you have to be the biggest part of it. Your retirement, you have like nobody's gonna take care of you. Like I heard something a long time ago, which is you are in the position to be your biggest best friend, right? So don't. This was in the context of don't, down talk yourself like in your head, like. You would, if your friend came to you and said, "I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling bad," you wouldn't call him pathetic. You wouldn't do all these things, right? Some guy friend groups probably would, but you wouldn't mean it. you would try to bully them up a little bit. So don't do that to yourself. I would say the same thing is true for your healthcare and all this kind of stuff, which is like you gotta take ownership of your business. You gotta take ownership of your family. You gotta take ownership of your actions, your health care, and you got to start putting stuff in place, that kind of thing. Well, I don't have a tumor that I know of. I wouldn't allow it. This is a battle. Okay. Hey, Misty Mountain Mushrooms. Caden, I was just talking about you earlier in the stream. I don't know if you saw that. I've already talked to Josiah. I need to talk to you, so get with me. But I want to talk about the Knoxville Mushroom Festival, but also the new East Tennessee Mushroom Club that I want to make. What, Samantha? Somebody probably messaged him. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he just watches for me. Maybe he still loves me. Maybe someone loves me, Samantha. Is that so hard to imagine? Sun Sugar Farms has a great cardboard selection. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Farmers don't need to worry about plastic bags or degradable bags. Wholesale suppliers and grocery suppliers should try to focus on cardboard versus plastic. Sun Sugar Farms is a great cardboard selection. I'll check that out. But I mean, to grow in, like to grow in, or just for packing and stuff. And don't burn down the house to roast the goat. That's a good one too. I don't know exactly what you're referencing, but that is a good. That is a good piece of advice. Don't burn down the house to roast the goat. I'm going to have to use that one. All right, so who's winning? It looks like Exception is still in the lead, and Plum is tied. So we've got two that are tied right now for the free syringe. Misty Mountain, Kate said, "I love you, Andrew. Wouldn't be where I am without you." Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Samantha said that she is a super fan of the pepper sauce that she's seeing you working on. What? Along with who? Alongside with East Tennessee Pepperman? Redman peppers? Redman, like chewing tobacco, Redman?
Sir, set me straight.
She said set her straight, Caden. Whatever. She can't remember his name. I think I follow who you're talking about. They made like a mushroom based hot sauce. It's a super fan. So is it kind of like the one that I made with the maitake broth, or is it different? Okay. Good to know, and glad he doesn't have cancer. So now Exception's going to be ruthless. Game back on. Plum said, regardless of plastic use, micro farms or small farms are way better for the environment than yeah, and one of the interesting things is that per pound of food, I think they tend to be far more productive. So decentralized farming is way better. It's way better for food security for the nation. It's way better for. The only thing it isn't good for is efficiency necessarily. And if you actually look at it, it is actually more efficient. It's just there's this great article by Venkatesh Rao on the Ribbon Farm that's called I think it's called a little big or a little idea called legibility, a little big idea called legibility, something like that. And he discusses in part like, okay, a forest is illegible and governments love legibility. So what do government forests look like? They look like forestry, where you plant trees in a grid and it's a monocrop and it goes terribly. And the yield goes on your lumber goes down every year. Where if you just let it go, you know, you would have far more productivity. So, by the way, I love Venkatesh Rao's writing, but it's more like circa 2010 to 2015, I guess. The Return of the Barbarian was a great one, eye opener for when I was young. I love the legibility one is great. The OODA loop, he goes over the OODA loop. That was foundational for me. Once I learned read those and really incorporated the OODA loop into my life, it became second nature and it completely changed my thinking and my effectiveness. There was another one, the Gervais Principle. That's a great series. And if you like the show The Office, the Gervais Principle is a fantastic thing. Don't be turned off by the words loser, sociopath, and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't mean it in the context that a lot of people mean it. What? Oh, is that what you're going to say? Somebody that never did like it would say sociopath, and it's like, look, he's not saying that they're sociopaths in a negative way. It's more like they make sociopathic decisions in their place in a business kind of thing. Anyways, those are all great things I would suggest anybody read. I just watched my cousin pass yesterday from cancer, so I'm a bit sensitive to that. My bad, man. Hope my joking around didn't mess you up too much. It's fine. Cancer is a bitch and steals. It does. It absolutely does. I lost my aunt to cancer. Lost my uncle to brain cancer. Samantha lost her grandfather to cancer from the mines. My uncle died. Boy, that was rough to watch him go. As my dad's brother, and he, as far as we can tell, he got it when he was in Desert Storm from the chemicals that were being burned and stuff. Like his entire unit, I think, got cancer. That same cancer. It's rough, man. Hello from Alabama. Well, hello, Alabama from East Tennessee. Alabama. It's just a good state name. Let's chat about East Tennessee Mushroom Club. So sad everything mushrooms is closing. Yeah, me too. It's like an end of an era, man. Like I started growing mushrooms and started with Hugh Brewer. Up there at the Market Square Farmers Market. And Hugh Brewer is actually the one that talked me into getting up there because he said it was such a good market. But First plate?
Yeah, we bought our first plates from there and our first bean culture.
Oh, from Everything Mushrooms. Yeah, that was I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Yeah, for sure. I heard Sportworks is going to keep going. So, but Everything Mushrooms is closing. I think they're selling the building. But the place next door actually reached out. I bought tacos over there. They had a food truck there that was tacos or something. But they at the Mushroom Festival, and I think they said that they were actually be interested in hosting it to keep it about the same place. So that'll be kind of cool actually if we can get that. But yeah, let's talk about it. I'd love to be able to. I want to be a part of it, but I can't be the one to organize it all. I don't think. I apologize at the exception of the rule. It's all good faith. I'm sorry to hear about your situation. Trudeau banned plastic bags up here. Our highest court found it against the law. 18 months later, our stores are still selling reusable bags. Walmart $2.35. Interesting. I fought kidney cancer this year and kicked its butt. Congratulations, Jeff. Survivor. Rip. Rip. Whoa. Roll Tide, huh? I mean, I think you mean go Vols. Is what you meant to say. Congrats, Jeff. Happy to hear that. here we are. People in the rest of the nation don't get the SEC, do they? Just don't get the SEC love. Hey, Andrew, what can I do to get my blue oysters to have less pins? It seems like I get these huge pin sets, end up with weird and competing fruit. If you narrow, so mushroom fruiting flush sizes, your mushroom sizes is going to depend on a couple of different factors. So number one, it is substrate depth, and then it is substrate depth to a surface area exposed. So what you want is if you're getting really good pin sets, and then you're getting just a few mushrooms that turn big and the rest of them abort, or you're getting a bunch of pins that all just turn into smaller mushrooms, then you can create a smaller opening for the mushrooms to grow in. So to give you an idea, a general idea, this is just a general idea. It's not always the case, but a good rule of thumb is something like, let's say a bag is expected to produce about a pound of mushrooms. If you do one big hole, it's going to produce a 1 pound cluster. If you do 2 medium-sized holes, it'll produce 2 half-pound clusters. And if you do 4 small holes, it'll produce 4 small quarter-pound clusters. So that's kind of the idea there on like the flush size. And people like to do different ways because some people like to pack into quarter-pound bags for market, so they actually do multiple holes to produce small. This sometimes mushrooms will do their own thing, and they'll ignore the other, 3 holes and produce just that one and make a big flush, anyways. But that's kind of the way to think about it. Is that it can be as easy as that sometimes. For oysters, I find it's easier for oysters, and you're talking about blue oysters in particular. So, so the biggest thing would be just to tighten up where you're at on the fruiting block, on how much surface area you're going to expose. So, like your bag, you can make the hole a little smaller or a little bigger or whatever. So, and what I would do is try, like what we're always trying to do, is find a system that works for us and find a repeatable thing. So you can narrow it down. We used to have measurements, like literally just wrote in Sharpie on the plastic walls in the grow room for about how long we wanted. So like on these 12-pound blocks that we were doing, for linesman, we'd do a single slit. And what we would do is we just say, do the shaka, right? You do it like this. That's about how big we wanted that slit. And that, so on the side of a bag, but eventually you just kind of get it, right? So what you are trying to do is you're going to tinker around till you find something that you can repeat. Once it's repeatable, replicable, excuse me. Once you can repeat it, then you'll just standardize on that. And what you want to do is not waver from your standard until you've got another experimental set done that gives you that information on what to do. So at Jeff, congrats. Yes, congrats, Jeff. Thanks for the whole tip for the oysters. I'll have to try that. I always do two cuts across the bag for anything I grow. Yeah, sometimes that works out well, and then sometimes I find that it doesn't. Teddy, you are really... Teddy, stop digging. He is really digging in. He might need another one of those anti-itch bites. Yeah. But yeah, that is a good rule of thumb. It doesn't always work that way, and not every mushroom type works. I find enoki doesn't really care where you put holes. It just grows. The lion's mane, you want to typically put the holes before you find primordia anywhere, because if it starts producing primordia somewhere, it doesn't want to stop. It's almost like, so think like lion's mane's always fast. It's running. And then it's like once it gets momentum in a direction, it doesn't want to stop. So there's a few, like you just have to play with a bunch of stuff. Shiitake does not work this way at all. This is like an oyster thing, a lion's mane thing, kind of. Shiitake, you cannot limit the surface area a lot of times. It just doesn't work. If you want to get, because trust me, I would love it if I could just cut a hole in the bag and get all the shiitake to cluster just in one place. Because then you could just pick it and go, just like you would oysters, and it wouldn't be so labor intensive. When's the last time you ate a mushroom? Well, it kind of depends on what you mean, what you're really asking me. I'm going to just take you at your words here and assume any mushroom. Yesterday. I ate mushrooms yesterday. I eat mushrooms a lot, as one might imagine. Or no, not yesterday. We had family dinner yesterday over at Mom and Dad's, so we did not have mushrooms yesterday. I had mushrooms the day before. Shiitake is mainly what I've got right now. I've got a lot of shiitake coming in. Shiitake is shiitake is about my favorite standard mushroom for eating. So I love shiitake. For growing personally, I hate shiitake as a moneymaker. I love shiitake as a just a personal preference, like personal eating. Do many of the mushrooms we eat have origins in Asia? Let me think about that for a second. So shiitake, a lot of times you can tell that a lot of the culinary usage and cultivation comes from Asia because it'll have take at the end. And that is take is the Japanese word for mushroom, is my understanding. So like shiitake means mushroom of the shi tree, which is oak, I think. So it literally means, like, shiitake translates to oak mushroom. Maitake, I think, is happy dance mushroom. Anokitake is I forgot what anokitake is, actually. But like there's like, if we call it take, typically we got that cultivation and or culinary usage from the Japanese. Chinese, I don't know if we see a translation the same way. I can't think of anything that we call the Chinese name except reishi. I think reishi is no, lingji. Lingji, I think, means mushroom of immortality. We probably get that from China. Now, that said, when you have the globe, you have the northern temperate band. So you have Europe, large portions of North America, and Asia are in that temperate band, in the northern temperate band. And in that, you actually do get a lot of the same mushrooms. So like you have lion's mane in Japan, North America, Europe. It's in all of them. Where we got the cultivation and the eating of that, I don't know. Is that a pre-human spread thing? Or is that something that was introduced to us from outside? I don't actually know. I know that shiitake is not typically found native in the U.S. It is starting to naturalize. We're seeing it more and more. You see it in Western North Carolina. There's been multiple strains found. I have a naturalized strain from Gold Beach, Oregon. Is it Oregon or Washington? I don't actually know where Gold Beach is. But I have two strains that I got from spores from Gold Beach that someone sent into the mycologium. But other than that, almost every strain I know of has its base in Asia, and those probably still have its base in Asia. Golden oyster is from southeastern Russia, northeastern Mongolia, parts of China. So a lot of them come from Asia, I think. A lot of the wood-based agriculture that I can think of for mushrooms, like the white rot fungi that I specialize in, all of that tends to come from Asia. The cultivation techniques and whatnot. There is some European usage of lion's mane now that I'm thinking about it. They've listed it as endangered across most of Europe. I think it's actually illegal to mess with most of the wild ones. But it's a silly rule in a part for people. Like bioprospectors should be allowed to, because we just need a tiny piece of tissue. We don't even have to disturb the mushroom that much. But also picking mushrooms, potentially doing it the right way, can help spread spores. But also, if you're worried about something going extinct, you want people grabbing as much of that biodiversity as possible and banking it, in my opinion. Though I guess they're trying to keep people from selling it. Thanks. I've never grown shiitake, only lion's mane, oysters, and those that shall not be named. Yeah, so shiitake is it is, again, probably my favorite eating mushroom. In my opinion, enoki and shiitake are two of the most adaptable culinary mushrooms. Like they can play so many parts in the kitchen. And for me, like enoki, I love enoki, but I really love enoki dried with heat, ground to a powder, and then used as a base for a picnic roast rub when you're smoking, making pulled pork and things like that. Doing a dry rub on the outside, doing all kinds of seasonings, but doing that enoki as a base, that's my favorite way to use enoki. However, I use enoki in all kinds of other stuff. Then you have shiitake is, you hear this all the time. Oh, mushrooms are a great replacement for meat. Bullshit. 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 I don't agree with that. Mushrooms are the best companion to meat and vegetables. They are their own thing. They are not meat. They are not vegetables. They have a nutrient density much like organ meat, higher than most vegetables. But they taste more fleshy than what you would ever get with vegetables. But they have a high fiber content, much like vegetables. So, I mean, they play different parts, but they're a terrible meat replacement. Shiitake, I could eat shiitake for the rest of my life and not have meat and probably be okay. Like, shiitake is that good to me. It's that adaptable in the kitchen. You can eat them raw because they don't have the geratin and stuff in them. So, like, shiitake is just hands down one of the most superior eating mushrooms in the world. It's just, if you're trying to grow it for profit, there's so much more demand. I mean, shiitake, you're never going to not sell shiitake. You grow shiitake, you're going to sell shiitake. But the value harvest per man hour comes best from oysters and lion's mane. Hey, you okay over there? No. So that's the real big thing to me. And of course, those that shall not be named are not really good culinary mushrooms. They taste terrible. They are useful in other ways, including, I didn't know this, but apparently psilocybin was just added to neurological cells, right? Neurons that helped create younger, basically plasticity in other cell types. It literally helped stop and then even then some reverse the aging process on other cell types. I thought that was crazy. What? Well, you've got whatever's left in the hopper there for the vacuum, so you can just run that out, I guess. And then you have that commodity pellet. It's got cows on it. That commodity pellet can be run in its place when you run out. Thank you. So yeah, and lion's mane, oysters are great. To me, oysters are a really good culinary mushroom. They're really productive. They're really low labor. They have a couple of downsides. One is that their spore load is typically really high. And then the other thing is that I don't feel like oysters have good shelf life and flavor profile combined. So shiitake will last 2-3 weeks in the fridge and has a really good flavor profile. Oysters, it seems like the more flavorful you get in oysters, the less shelf life they have. Now, there's a few other ways around that and whatnot, but oysters tend to just take on the flavor of whatever you cook them in. So they are good for that. They're very heart healthy and whatnot. But The lion's mane, to me, is one of my favorites to grow. Lion's mane is probably my favorite to grow, especially commercially. It is the highest value proposition I can find per square foot per man hour. It is popular amongst medicinal enthusiasts and culinary enthusiasts. There is so much more to lion's mane than fake crab cakes than people realize. There's the Bam Bam chicken, the fry, the what do they call it? The press skillet presses they do and stuff to make like the faux chicken, and lion's mane's got that graininess like a chicken breast does. But people don't realize how many different hericiums there are. I have a hericium from Hamlin Beach that Dr. Jordan Duckworth sent into us, the Mycologium, that has a texture very much like al dente pasta. There's the wolf's plume, which kind of grows in these dense lobes that is really good for markets, I feel like, in mixed boxes. Then there's like the comb tooth that is like the lobster tail of the mushroom world. Then you have lion's mane and it's crab. Like, you have all these textures and you almost never hear about them. And I guess it's because I haven't popularized it yet. But you just hanging out? Or are you okay? Plum meat repeat. Why did portobello, white, and brown creminis become the most popular mushroom on the American continent? Mainly because that is okay, you have a couple of things going on here. I'm going to be wrong about some of it. I'm going to oversimplify some of it. But the main thing is that our food culture in most of America comes from the English. The English were notoriously fungophobic, except for when it came to like portobellos. Buttons are young portobellos. White and brown creminis are middle-aged portobellos, and portobellos are the mature mushroom. So it's all one mushroom type. Just picked at different stages. And in fact, what's funny to me is to pick portobellos, to get nice portobellos, they have to reduce the number of mushrooms. So they'll have pins, and they'll cut pins down to produce a big mushroom. And they were like, oh, we're throwing away all these buttons. Let's sell the buttons. So it's like they found a way to harvest their waste, which incidentally is why the white enoki was made. The white enoki was created because the velvet foot enoki, the golden enokis, as they mature, get that velvet foot to them. So people were like, well, I don't want the velvet foot. I want the younger mushrooms. Well, the white ones don't develop that velvet foot. So they bred a white variety so they could sell you older mushrooms and you wouldn't care. Now that said, I love portobellos. I still love portobellos. I have never been one of these people who went from eating portobellos to growing all these gourmet mushrooms and then going, ew, portobellos are gross. I love them. Give me a portobello cap, gills scooped out, stuffed with cheese and broccoli and bacon or whatever, and then just grilled to perfection. And I am happy with that. Yeah, you can have one. But so that's where part of it comes from, is that our food culture is British, and in large part. Now, if you go to like the Eastern European immigrants, Italians, these other food pathways that came into America, a lot of them are not as fungophobic, and they are and have been more familiar with mushrooms than just portobellos. However, a lot of them probably had to switch to portobellos because that is what was set up in America. And you've got some very early day, like Lambert's. Lambert's is one of the, I think it's the oldest spawn company in the United States. I could be wrong about that, but they're one of the oldest mushroom farms out there. You got Monterey's and all these others. There's farms that have been around since the early 1800s. You know, it's not a new thing in America, but yeah, I think portobellos just came first because of the 13 colonies were from the British. That was the main thing. And then, you know, my people came here, the Scots-Irish. They're a very fungophobic people. Central Appalachia is not a place like you hear about morels, dryland fish, miracles. That's all the same mushroom. That there was a food culture for that, but people tended to be very fungophobic. I'm weird in my family, you know, for being so into mushrooms. And then you probably get like the only trade groups that I know of right now for that are the strong big trade groups for mushrooms are from the portobello industry. So I think that what happened was you have an initial group come in and invest and build. They build momentum, and then why would they want anything else being produced on a different product type? North America, like I mean, gosh, we are as I've heard Seth say, the Saudi Arabia of trees, right? The Eastern U.S. So you would expect our knowledge and our culinary pathways to match up a lot more with the white rot fungi, the forest dwellers food source. Yep. No, you're good. No, nobody's going to mind you working in the background. Plum, it's got to be due to knowledge base or like they have. I'm sure that's part of it. A lot of the white rot fungi cultivation techniques are from Asia. And Asia, the only strong Asian influence in early America was on the West Coast as far as settlement patterns go. In America, you had like Florida, Texas area was Spanish, Louisiana, and a bit wide swath up to the north was French, and then you had the English. You had the Barbadian English in the deep south, and then you had English, with the Scots Irish settling the Appalachian spine, and then cross Tennessee and down into parts of eastern Texas. So these food pathways all mix and match and stuff. But as far as I can tell, the Italians came over and brought some porcinis and things like that. But they were a later wave. And then you had in the 1800s a large Chinese. I don't know. When did there was a Japanese wave I know of immigration. I don't remember when they came, but I think that in the Western U.S. you have had a stronger look at Oregon and Washington. You've had a stronger fungal culture for a lot of, but the United States has settled most heavily on the East Coast, so that's where all the buzz is, and it was settled by the English largely. I know the French had a fungal culture, but I don't know much about that. So I was told that North Carolina has one of the most diverse fungal networks in the U.S. Is that true? That is true, specifically Western North Carolina, East Tennessee. So it's not actually the state that does, but it's a part of the state. So what you're, so that you've got the Tennessee Valley on the west side of the Appalachian Range, and then what's east of the mountains? I forgot the name of that geographical range, but the point being that as the glaciers moved through the U.S., you had these mountains, and it just scoops them out, and it leaves all these what we call hollers. But you have these different fingers of the mountains that come out, and these different valleys that go in. And what's interesting, like here, you go up into the Smokies. We're like where I'm at's a couple inches short of being a temperate rainforest. You go up in the Smokies, and sometimes it is a temperate rainforest. And then on the eastern side, I think they get even more rain. So you have conditions set just right. Where there is water, there is life, typically. And you have these, in order for evolution to happen, to create diversity, you have to have a lot of times some way to separate a species so that it changes. And the way that did that was those mountain valleys. And so as it scooped, you've got the Tennessee Valley, but then as you go to you've got the Cumberland Plateau, it's incredibly biological diverse. You have the Appalachian spine, incredibly diverse. And it's in part because it created all these salamanders. Let's take salamanders, for example, moved into the area. They kind of went everywhere, right? And then you had this glacier that came down and scraped everything out and created this denuded spot that was not hospitable to life. So each one of these that was in one of these little finger valleys basically started genetically drifting into a different direction, based on its selective pressures. And that creates this huge diversity. And so the Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky. Everybody's been moving out of that area, right? It has left land dirt cheap. It is one of the most biologically diverse places, Eastern Kentucky, and it's cheap. And I'm sitting there going, if the future is fungal, if the future is genetics, I'd like to buy some of that land up in Eastern Kentucky. I think I'd like to buy a piece and then just try to have myself a little nature preserve until I could afford to get up there and start bioprospecting it. I just checked out Sugar Farms boxes and want to throw a thanks out to Misty Mountain Mushrooms. I just placed an order for their sample pack. Well, thank you, Caden of Misty Mountain Mushrooms. Which, by the way, how cool is that, Misty Mountain Mushrooms? I love all the Tolkien. We also had Middle Earth Chronicles come and do their mentorship with us. And there was another Tolkien one. Caden's not, by the way, Caden didn't do a mentorship with me. Not to throw him under the bus or anything like that, but I didn't want to be like, Caden's one of my students. And put that shade on him just in case. But there was another person that did a mentorship. I can't remember that. Huh? No, it was Tolkien. Like their name was Lord of the Rings inspired. Kimberly was Middle Earth Chronicles. I'm trying to think of who the other one is. And hers was like not actually Middle Earth of Lord of the Rings. I think it was something else that her dad did or grandfather did. I hope one day schools teach mushrooms the way they teach plants. I remember when I was a kid, there was a whole unit on plants, maybe a page or two about mushrooms. It's, as far as I know, it's still that way, but you're starting to see it. Like we've had some people ask, actually I need to contact the high school again, but we've had people ask about us coming in and teaching. Fungus tends to get lumped in with plants, but it is neither plant nor animal. It is its own kingdom, and it's as diverse, if not more diverse in some. Like it's way more diverse than the animal kingdom. I think the plant kingdom is technically more diverse. I could be wrong though. Both of them are very, very diverse though, and they interplay off each other. I mean, like the plant fungal thing has been very much like the plant animal thing, where they kind of push and pull. You know, flowers would not be a thing without pollinators. Pollinators would not be a thing without flowers. Chicken and egg kind of situation. And I think that I think the way we teach needs to be changed in general, but fungus does kind of just get the short end of the stick because it just sits there, and it's kind of like, you ever worked in a factory and been good at your job, and the people who are loud and hang out with the boss get promoted and you don't? Mushrooms are like that. Mushrooms are like that. They're the guy who does his job and is quiet. Huh? So that tears me up. Yeah, mushrooms are the guy who sits there and he does his job and he doesn't ask for thanks and he just does a good job. And therefore he never gets promoted into the consciousness. By the way, that I think we should promote it into consciousness. We should also look as a nation, as a world, as a people, as humanity. Where am I going with this? We need to start making infrastructure sexy, don't we? Like, why is infrastructure not sexy? Roads and bridges are awesome. Like, why are we spending money on junk when we could be spending money on infrastructure? Like our roads. Why? Tennessee's roads are sexy. I go to other states and their roads ain't sexy. Tennessee's been spending all kinds of money on infrastructure. What? It does depend on which road you're on. The roads between the county and cities are always at war. Like they're like, you take care of that. No, you take care of that. Sorry, I took that pretty far. Exception.
How do you say this surname?
Of what?
Is it Brodsky or
Brodsky?
Brodsky?
Yeah, I'd say Brodsky is how I would say that. Dirt hippie. Samantha says she likes seeing other people's names. It is kind of interesting to see too where people live and all the different last names. Does using a lot of spawn correlate to pin set, or if my supplement is too rich in protein? I have a 12% protein supplement, I'm thinking of using less spawn and doing. Yeah, so if you're going as high as 12% in your protein supplement, I mean, like I would not do 12% over the. I'm assuming that the protein supplement itself is 12%, not the whole block protein level. But the higher you are using in supplements, the less spawn I would use, especially if you're using a grain that's really protein bound. But yeah, like if you've got a 12% protein at a 50-50 run would be too much. It can cause your strains to not want to produce well because you're not stressing it. So a lot of people think that if we make mushrooms thrive, they will produce mushrooms. That's actually only partly true. We need our mushrooms to thrive, and then we need to stress them gently, but they need to be stressed in some way. And the different mushrooms have different stress triggers, but that's what flushing that big meaty flush is about. Is we're actually causing a little bit of stress that could be just growing in its environment entirely and no longer having a place to go. Oysters are really good about that. Or it could be the shock, the imitation of a tree falling down with the smack for shiitake. It can be water, having just enough water to run. And then when it gets to a certain past the point of balance, it's stress. What you want is the mushrooms to go, my environment has been interrupted. I need to breed. I need to breed because my day may be done. I need to have children. And that's kind of what we're going for. You don't want to like too much protein, too much water, and it's just like, man, life's good. I ain't got to do nothing. Don't have to have no responsibilities. Travel whenever I want. Spend all the money I want. Look at all this excess money I've got with no kids. And that's no way to live. How does someone test for various medicinal compounds that have no standards made for them, mass spectrometry or in them? So that is a completely different science than anything I'm involved with typically. The idea would be what you just target your medicinal compound, and then you would have something like mass spectrometry. They have different ways of doing it, and it's going to depend on what compound you've got. The biggest thing for me would be you hire a laboratory to do it, rather than trying to find a way to do it at home. Doma Nunez would be a good person to talk to. He's one of the creators of the kit that made where you could test for psilocybin and psilocin content at home. It's not 100% accurate, but it was good enough test. It's pretty accurate, is my understanding. I met him at the Oklahoma Mushroom Festival. Man really knows what he's talking about. And another one of those guys who's like really good at what they do and somehow doesn't get enough credit. But that's the kind of things I think that you would have to do. It's gonna entirely depend on the medicinal compound, because the way I would explain it is like you have volatiles, right? And then you have non-volatiles. This would be more for like distilling. When we're doing distillation, you would have, when you distill, you have what are called volatiles, which means that you can distill it out of the product and recapture it by condensation through a condenser, right? So that's how you can get like essential oils, things like that. Volatiles are often alcohol extractable, which is why you can run them through a distillation process. That kind of. The answer is I don't know how I would go about doing that. What I would do is target a compound, then start researching how do I measure for that compound, how do I extract for, and then how do I do that. That's basically what I would have to work. That's not something I'm strong in. Yeah, I'm a hobby grower. I still have 19 years until 65, so likely won't be high volume for sales at least until then, unless AI takes over my job, of course. Yeah, I feel you. It's coming. The moment I can buy a Tesla bot, I'm going to. If it's 30,000, heck, if it's 60,000, that'd be like, what you pay an employee, and it won't. I assume it won't sleep, and I'll get to own it. You have to charge it, but that's, you do have to make sure it's doing its job correctly. That's true. I don't think Brody trusts the robots. You don't trust the robots, do you? He doesn't trust the robots.
I would say on testing compounds.
You would say on testing compounds, though,
To get an ISO certified lab.
to get an ISO certified lab. There you go. P-cybin, reversing telomere length. Spell. Well, you didn't spell spelt right. I know what you're doing. I don't know how it actually did it. I don't remember. I just remember the tagline. They had done 2 separate studies, and it had helped reverse aging process. I don't know if that was on the actual telomeres or what. I just had dinner, but now I want a stuffed portobello. Man, now I want a stuffed portobello. I had some yogurt. That's like literally, I forgot to eat today. Started feeling bad right before the stream and was like, oh yeah, I've been out there lifting logs and burning calories and did not eat anything. So I ate some yogurt with granola in it, but I am hungry. Pennsylvania Mafia are responsible for the conspiracy. I've heard that a lot. I don't know anything about it. Every higher up Portobello man I've ever talked to has been very open. In fact, I've been thinking about it. I had an offer to go do it, and I never took him up on it. And I don't know how to do it now, but I could try. But Monterey's was willing to let me come take a tour at one point and video it for the channel. And I'm thinking that I would like to reach back out to them and do that. Because, again, I love the agaricus mushrooms. Have you found any literature on why soy hulls push so much on the first flush? I was wondering if it is the fiber content besides the protein, of course. So my understanding when I'm thinking about fungal nutrition is that it is the right mix of protein, high fiber, and a little bit of fat, but not a lot of fat. So not enough that we're worried about it going rancid and all that kind of stuff. But those 3 things play an important part, and people under or downplay the role of fat. Mushrooms are not big fat eaters most of the time, but it can be certain. What would you call it? Well, we'll just call it supportive nutrition, right? Can actually be obtained with fats. I'm familiar with some people on the Portuguese and like Italian and Greek, like the Mediterranean coast. That's what I'm trying to think of. Who use like fish meal, and fish meal's got fats in it, but they use that for their protein. And yeah, that's a little known thing. Everybody thinks you can't use sunflower seeds because of the fat content, and that's BS. I've used sunflower seeds, and some of the best flushes I've ever had are on sunflower seeds. If they weren't so expensive, they'd be a good choice, I feel like. Do you have any advice for frowning out my talkie? Mine just won't. I mean, Jordan Gent does really good maitake. TR Davis does good maitake. Someone on Instagram just recently posted, was it High Country Fungi? They're probably better for getting you to frond out. I will tell you that I don't even grow maitake out to the frond stage anymore. I just blob it, and then when I sell it, I'll sell it blobbed. The chefs pay the exact same amount for it as a blob. Do what? Antler. Yeah, we used to call it antler velvet. And it'll grow these blobby antlers that are just gray masses, and they taste amazing. They taste as good as the fronded out maitake. So I was just going, why? Huh? Samantha likes the texture better. That's what she said. She says it's got a really nice texture to it, and I agree. It kind of reminds me of moon pearls. It's just that kind of blobby, but like just fungal flesh, just all the way through. And yeah, my chefs will pay $16 a pound for it, wholesale. So maitake is wonderful. I love it. and it's like the easiest thing in the world to grow because you don't even have to open the bag if you blob it out. I will say that it is better to use the 0.5 filter patch than it is the 0.2 for that. But yeah. I still would like to thank my Scots-Irish ancestors for bringing fried chicken to the New World. I love some fried chicken. I love fried chicken. And I do love the deep fried foods of the Scots-Irish culture. That is beautiful. I'd love to have some land down there. Down in like Kentucky, yeah. Here, like that's what I was saying. Like West Virginia probably is cheap too. Still, you have to go to get cheap land in East Tennessee anymore. You'd have to go really far north, like basically on the Kentucky border, because you ain't getting. Man, I remember when acreage used to be $1,000 an acre here growing up, and now it's $10,000 an acre is cheap. People have moved here so much. That said, I'm hoping silver will take a run and maybe I can flip it for some land somewhere. Bridges and roads are schmexy. Yes, they are. Jake Wolves. You know what? It would be a nomad that says bridges and roads are sexy. It would totally would be. Anything that helps us move. Speaking of, I'm playing Cyberpunk right now for the first time. Love the nomads. Oh my gosh, I would totally be the nomads. I would totally be the nomads. I love their cars. Nobody does cars like nomads do. Isn't that 12% almost the same as soybean? So, in my opinion, soybean hulls, I say in my opinion, my experience, soybean hulls are like 9%. But it depends on what strain is grown, where it was grown, how long it was grown for, what the conditions were. So, we have averages that we're working on. So it could be 9 to 12%, 9 to 11%. Yes, we got Marshall, yo. Oh, Mossy Andrew. Hello, Miss Mossy Creek. Marshall says hello. Marshall, that's always on the stream. He's tired. Well, he said hi to your mom, but I'm sure he meant hi to you too. Do what? I'm not saying that you're not important. I'm saying Marshall said you're not important. He said thanks. No. I'm playing, Brady. I really want that factory full of clankers, maybe a house clanker as well. I want the clankers, man. Give me some clankers. You can tell I'm in a good mood when I'm being playful like that. I am in a good mood. I went out there and I started playing with those logs and that chainsaw and everything else, and I was just started thinking about the video I'm going to try to release on the 1st and the way, like, I'm so excited about 2026, and I'm just, I'm kind of flying high right now, soaring a little bit. I will say, if we don't get working on supper though, and I have something to put in my belly, I'm going to be angry by the time I'm off this stream. I'm working hard for. Do what? I'm getting spaghetti. Spaghetti ain't got no protein in it. Oh, our spit sub when left for a bit seems to be plausible to use for case. Yeah, I've wondered about that. I've heard of people doing that, and I've thought about after composting. Actually, I need to grab my composter back from Ben and Stephanie's. Go there and grab that, and then bring it over here because it'll be easy to load here. And then it's like a tumble composter, and I want to do that. I'm going to do it in my tubs too, but I want to get that throughput coming through and doing that and triad casing layer. I want to do buttons this year at some point. I remember a few years back you were looking into green blue spalting. Are there any red spalting types? Dang it, Exception. Are you trying to pull all my secrets back out? Okay, so yeah, I've been working on the spalting, and I have a ton of different strains for a ton of different colors. And I have green and blue, and it's part of why I'm doing log culture outside and playing around with stuff. There's one called a flaming dragon fungus. It'll do red, it'll do blue, it'll do purple, it'll do all kinds of stuff. I have the black line spalting strains, like Xylarias. I've collected a bunch of them this past year, especially. I found a log that had really amazing spalt in it, brought it back, let it spalt further, let 2 different mushrooms grow out of it, cut it in half, started looking at it and the black lines, and then cloned the mushrooms because it was some of the most amazing black line spalting I've seen. I was like, now I know to combine these two, and that makes perfect black line spalt. Thank you, Samantha. This is our green elf cup. And you can see how green that is. That's on this. You won't get this kind of coloration a lot of times on just like the corn dextrose by itself. You gotta have nutrition in it. But I mean, it'll produce really, really green. This one, actually, I don't have my notes on this one as to where it came from. But I mean, you can see it'll grow thick. And that is one of the things is the secrets to the bluing spalting is that green elf cup, thank you, baby, and blue elf cup are really slow growing, and they produce way faster in liquid culture. So I've done some experimentation with that, but yeah, man, I'm on the spalting train. I actually removed some of my spalting videos because I may be keeping that one in the back pocket. I don't know. I'm definitely working on it, but I think that there is a massive underserved market for spalting that, especially if you can learn to custom spalt. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people that make a lot of money in spalting at some point, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'll show that. So like here you got, the reflection. You got a whole band of purple right through here. There you got a purple spot there, but the light wants to reflect on it. It's not really wanting to. The camera's not wanting to pick it up. Oh, there you go. You can see that purple there without the sheen. So like if I put the sheen there, it highlights that purple. But if you can actually see it there. That's actually the oak top, the velvet top. Here's some useless knowledge I was unaware of. Female reindeer grow antlers. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, if you see a reindeer in winter with antlers, they are female because males shed them in winter. Yep. So all of Santa's reindeers are actually ladies. I did know that. I found that out a couple of years ago, I think, and was like, what? And then it's like, that explains why Rudolph talks that way. Actually, no, Rudolph doesn't. Did Rudolph have antlers? I can't remember now. Cyberpunk. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. Don't ruin anything. I'm really enjoying it. It's my first playthrough, and I waited a long time to get that game because I try to budget how much I spend on games because I do enjoy them. Like right now, I'm playing Battlefield 6 with the Mush Bros, Foxy in particular. I haven't seen many of the other Mush Bros on Battlefield 6, and I haven't played Helldivers as much lately, but I want to get back into it some more. And then Cyberpunk is what I play in the evening when I'm smoking my cigar. Clankers. That's such a good. Just so. Ugh. Sorry, man. I've been listening for years and know many secrets. Apparently, you do actually. I've been careless with my secrets. I've just bled secrets all over the place. Hey, Brian B. What about 1,000 apple rust mushrooms in my cedars? Are they good for? Not that I know of. I'm sure they're good for something, but I haven't looked into them or anything. I've never even tried cloning them. Now that now I think about it, the next time I see them in our cedar tree or apple tree, I'll or a cedar tree. I never see them in the apple tree, but I should definitely look at that. I wonder if you can clone it. Guys, I'm getting sleepy now. Might even work for sub as they aren't that strong of a digester. Might work well as a secondary digester of our tough wood-based subs. Which ones? Oh, for the buttons? I think so. I've heard of people doing it too, and I think that'll work. I think even if you had a few worms and stuff in there, and they got pasteurized, wouldn't be fun for the worms, but the mushrooms might actually enjoy that nutrition. Natural alternatives for stains and It could be the future. Beautiful work. I think, it's, you should see some of the black zone spalt. I haven't done much with the coloring. I just got Flaming Dragon fungus into a white oak log a few weeks ago, and you can see it spreading on the end caps. Actually, I am playing with some bleaching fungus on some of the darker hardwoods, but they take a lot longer to rot down a lot of times. And I learned some new techniques from the Japanese on how to inoculate logs that speeds up the process big time, and I am now playing with that, whereas I've been doing plug spawn with a lot of this stuff. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I think spalting is going to be a huge thing. Not so here's what my thoughts on it, real quick. You coming up here so much? Oh, you coming here? Yeah, you can come here. Come on. Yeah, boy, you can sit. So I've been hanging out over at Ben's shop a lot, right next door, and the 3D printers are printing stuff out like crazy. And then, did you freeze that? You didn't mean to? So you see the 3D printers, and I was talking to Ben today about AI's usage in CAD software, which is, what you would use to create a file that would then go to a slicer that would then get sliced up and sent to a 3D printer. The things Ben's creating by 3D printing and then assembly is amazing. And the stuff he's doing for his kids, like birthdays, stuff like that, is super cool. And Christmas presents and things. So you have this interesting dynamic of it's actually getting more expensive to ship things in. And so it's better to ship in raw product that can be turned into something. And then you have AI, which is coming out and it's creating a lot of things. And some of those things are very, very good. Like I like some of the AI music. I like some of the AI artwork. I like a lot of this stuff. Does it fully replace humanity? Not now. I hope not ever. And in fact, some of the things I think will be interesting to see is, will this put us into a new path of productivity and whatnot, where even the poorest people have access to things that they didn't think they would have access to. That's my hope. But in that world, a lot of that stuff is going to be plastic. A lot of that stuff is like, you're going to have access to good plastic stuff, right? And it'll increase your lifestyle, quality of life. There we go. Hopefully the ability to increase people's quality of life will be big. But then what's going to be of real value is going to be things that are organic in nature, right? Not just genes, not just like the raw genes to produce things, but like legitimately the way a tree grows organically, than the way a fungus grows through the grain organically. Again, all of these things, like, that stacks up into that's of real value. What you're seeing is a lot of wealthy people right now, either leave cities for more natural areas, or B, he's a little stinker. But what I'm seeing is a lot of wealthy people are buying up natural resources or access to natural resources. They're buying water tables. They're buying access to the water table, to lakefront property, to the views, And what I'm seeing as a person from Tennessee who grew up with state parks costing nothing my entire life, a lot of state parks are now considering having you pay for them. Again, access to the natural resource becomes something you have to pay for. Our national park here, the Smokies, I've never had to pay that my entire life. Now you have to pay for a parking pass. And, there's other things that are starting to be charged for. And it's like, okay, access to these natural resources, whether that be for aesthetic value, or just access to them, is a potentially diminishing thing. even if our lifestyle or quality of life rises, these things are still more valuable, right? And any person that's got any honesty to them, I feel like, would look at that and go, natural resources are better. And they're not, or maybe not better, but are rarer, right? In all of the universe, if we go through the universe, we can find all kinds of precious metals and everything else. But like, I'll use an example, and then I'll get off this subject because I'm sure this subject's probably kind of boring. But the one of my favorite things is in the Expanse series. The Belters and other people start to really, like, especially people who live out like on the edge of humanity in space, value amber and pearls like crazy valuable. They're the only organic gems, right? You have right, or the only organic gems is amber and pearls. Yeah, that's all I can think of. But diamonds, they can find, diamonds like all over the place, gold and silver and uh, etc. So, anyways, it is the spalting. I think is in part going to be. Sorry, spalting is going to be a part of that. Is what I'm trying to say. Spalting is going to be a part of that. I've already seen it. I've consulted on a Hollywood producer's house who I consulted for the mill, not with the Hollywood producer, and I can't say who because I signed an NDA. But the Hollywood producer wanted his entire house, every accent imaginable, the steps, the railings on the steps, the countertops, the cabinets, the etc., all of it to be in spalted maple. That's what he wanted. And the mill was like, look, we lose like 80% of our product when we make spalt because the wood on the outside gets so punky. And I helped them with a little bit of it. I didn't give away all my secrets because they didn't pay the second installment. They were supposed to. But the idea there was that, he wants this. Well, I think that that's not going to be a rare thing. I think there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of people that really get into that, that want that kind of thing. They want that organic thing. I'm sitting there thinking, like, imagine going out in the woods and finding a burl of some sort, right? The big knot in the wood that's got the beautiful grain to it. And then you run a bleaching fungus through it and it creates a mottled pattern that's organic, will never be repeated because it had to have that tree with that fungus, that time, those conditions, etc. So I think that's going to be cool. Dr. Siri Robinson with the Spalding Cooperative is basically trying to make natural stains by growing the pigment producing fungi in wood chips and then extracting the color out of it. I don't like that method as much. I think she's doing great work, but I think it's the wrong application because we don't just want a stain that you throw on the surface of the wood. You want something really, truly unique. And an organic stain's cool, but it's not the replacement. It's just another stain kind of thing. And you got to have a reason for people to care that it's a fungal stain. Like, why are they going to care it's a fungal stain versus a petroleum stain versus, I don't know, some other plant-derived stain or something. So, different staying power. Well, right. Yeah, I mean, that's why petroleum ones are usually the most staying power, right? Typically. Right. So I will say Samantha should be the one to talk about most of this. Hold on a second. What? Well, fix it. There's nothing I can do about it right now. Well, I was gonna say is Samantha, like, legitimately, that's her passion. That's been her passion since we were like in high school. She's always been interested in pigments. That's one of the reasons why she was in art. It's one of the reasons why she did restoration work on historical art pieces and things like that. primarily when we were in college. She worked on like a 200-year-old Bible and things like that. But pigments are a big thing. She loves pigments. She loves papers. In fact, there's a book on fungal pigments that Paul Stamets has on his website. I don't remember who wrote it, but I've been meaning to get for her and keep forgetting. Glad I said that when she wasn't in the room, though. I'll ship the summer cultures I procured once I can afford to. It's been an extremely tough year. I hate to hear that it's been an extremely tough year, Jacob. I will say the video I'm doing on Monday talks about that for me, too, how this year started off so rough. It is 2025 was about not slipping backwards. I'll be 100% open and honest and frank about that. 2025 was a good year, but it was a hard year. And the end of 2024 was even rougher. So, like, there's been a lot of. I get it. Is all I'm saying. I get it. And take your time, man. You do what you need to do. Can you tell us the different techniques you learned from the Japanese regarding inoculating logs to speed them up? Yeah, I mean, I'll be going over that a couple of videos, and I've got a class I'll be teaching on it later in the year. But the simplest is that basically it's just cuts. There's a video out already on YouTube by Field and Forest where they talk about the wedge method, and that's one of the ways that they do it. The idea really is, so I like my system because I think my system's got a really good, like, potential a very sustainable method about it, other than the mining for the batteries. But the point is that you take a log, instead of drilling holes just below the surface of the bark and plugging those holes with spawn, what you want to do is, like, let's say you've got your log about halfway down your log, or if it's a really long log, in a couple of different places, you'll cut a wedge out with a chainsaw. You pull it, you'll pack that with spawn, and you'll put that wedge back in place. I think on the Field and Forest one, they cover it with duct tape. I don't know that you need to do that. You do want to keep it from drying out. You want it to get into the wood fast enough. But other than that, the mycelium will actually grow that wedge back into place and hold it. But the other method that I seem to be using a lot more, that I like a lot more, is the X method, where I take the chainsaw, and let's say you got your log about halfway down. I'll cut about halfway into the log, pull out, move it over just slightly, and cut another divot in, so that the cut that I've made is now about 2 chainsaw blades width across, and then I just come and cut the other side, so that I create that X. And then now that those are open, you can just take sawdust spawn and you can just pack that in, pack and tamp, and now you'll have a log. Like right now, I was out there today cutting. You can have like a 5-foot log that's 10 inches in diameter, and you've already inoculated the center of the log. It knocks months off of the incubation process. So where the X method is my favorite so far. I've tried the wedge. I don't like the wedge as much. I feel like the wedge dries out too fast. The wedge is a little easier on the cuts, but another thing to think about is when you go out in the woods and you find a log and it's like flushing mushrooms, it flushes these huge flushes, which is huge clusters typically. And you're like, how in the world does it do that, right? It doesn't have any soy in it or anything like that. Well, you read about it, and there's all kinds of nutrition in a log that oftentimes isn't there in the pellets or the sawdust or things, especially aged sawdust. Logs are really nice and dense. Anyone who's tried to pick up a 10-inch diameter log knows logs are dense. So this method is proving to be very interesting. In particular, that I now see that logs are economically viable for farming. Now you have to change your farming method a little bit. Not that we couldn't do that, but so like let's say right here where I live, I paid $300 for a dump truck load full of 8 to 10 foot logs that are 8 to 10 inches in diameter, white oak, fresh cut. Bam. Now, if you're in the desert, you're never going to have this. You're going to need to ship in pellets. That's going to be the only way you can grow. I understand that. But where I live in a forested area, a temperate forest that's almost a temperate rainforest, field and forest everywhere, People are constantly cutting trees. People heat their houses with wood a lot of the times, and we're being developed very quickly. There's whole areas that are just coming in and clear cutting areas for development. They are giving away. It's like if you want to go, they'll just let you cut whatever you want, take it. Sometimes they'll deliver, so they don't have to burn it, or so they don't have to bulldoze it, or whatever, or so they don't have to pay dumping fees. So you got all of this stuff going. These logs actually produce really well. They produce for years, and the labor is not much when you're not having to plug them. Now, you will have to have some other things going for you. If it's a homestead or a market garden, I get like it's got to be pretty easy for you to be pretty choosy, selective, whatever. And a lot of homesteads already have the equipment. Here we have the forklift. I can literally inoculate logs, throw them on a pallet, and my kid or myself or Dan next door, Ben next door, whoever, we can grab them on the forklift. We can move them around the shop. We can move them to shady spots, etc. So it ends up being one of those things where we have the infrastructure in place. I have a giant big parking lot. I can put a ton of pallets out. I can put a ton of logs out, and they just go for years. And there's another thing called log fragmentation fruiting, I think is what it's called. I'll need to look that up again. It's another method they use in Japan. They'll take a 10-foot log, they inoculate it in the center, they let it grow. Maybe they'll inoculate it on the two halfway points. They'll like, third and third kind of thing. Then they come through when it's fully grown in and ready to produce, like shiitake or whatever. They come in and they'll cut those logs in like 1-foot sections. And then they place it somewhere to fruit. And what happens is this allows you to cut those, and it shocks them into fruiting because you've created a lot of exposed, disturbed area. And then the shiitake will fruit. Oysters will fruit. Lion's mane will fruit. So, yeah, I mean, you've got like all of this. Some people are just going to have better access to this. And now, granted, you're not going to have it won't be the same production style where we're producing 100 blocks a week, fruiting 100 blocks a week. Logs have different densities. You're going to have access to different things, etc. The supply line's a little different, but I do like that it's local. It's grown on local materials. What's up, kitty? It's grown up on local materials. It's truly a waste product, and it's actually less labor intensive than bagging and moving bags around and stuff, especially if you're moving around on the forklift. So there are ways to make it. Now, I think in my circumstance, it actually makes a lot of sense to do it. The wealthy are moving out to the country and driving up. Yeah, they are. They really are. Yeah, they absolutely are. If you live in the state, you definitely should have to pay for parking there. In Michigan, we pay $12 for a park pass and our license plate. Well, that's good. And I'm hoping that it stays free in Tennessee. I didn't know. So there's a park right down the road from me called Panther Creek State Park. I grew up going to this park. We'd go to this park all the time. We'd have picnics there. I'd have birthday parties there. We'd go swimming as high schoolers, Ben and Charles and I, Samantha. We would go take adventures there. We would hike. We would this place it's in my brain, right? And I love these man-made lakes around here. We have all these man-made lakes from TVA. And the cool thing is you have mountain down to lake. And it's just this awesome, beautiful landscape. And it's unique. And it's not like what you find in other places most of the time. And it makes this area, it's very interesting. You'll go travel. You'll leave and you come home. You open the door and you're like, that smell of home. But then you realize the smell of home is it smells like lake and fishy stuff, fishiness here, right? That's what it is. It's just you get nose blind to it living here, but that damp is home. But yeah, I mean, we didn't know. I did not realize. I grew up with these parks and did not realize what a resource, what a wonderful thing that was to have for free. All we had to do was get there. Huh? Park privilege. Yeah, we got park privilege, baby. I hope that Hollywood guy shows off your work and tags you. He won't. He didn't even know I existed. I worked for the mill. The mill was the one hiring me for the consultation. I bet they didn't even say they hired me. they probably just passed it off as their own work. So that's what often happens. More and more laws, higher taxes, and no trees from all of the new neighborhoods going up. That's our future. I hope not. I really hope not. The good news is the population's collapsing, so hopefully they'll stop building houses at some point, right? It's not a good thing, but I don't. Endless growth is not the answer either. So I don't understand. Like a lot of these people are like, "Oh my gosh, the population's collapsing. We got to bring in more people, or we can just let the robots do the job, and we can be okay with fewer people. We can just make our human interaction more tight knit and let the robots do the jobs." I'd love to have the option of a non-petroleum based colored mulch. I'd love the red just for the looks, but don't want the leaching into my soil. So option for the natural mulch. The problem with the natural mulch is that it's going to rot faster, right? That's one of the nice things about the petroleum dyed stuff is that nothing wants to eat it. Tree trimmers here will just dump them in your yard for free. Yeah, they will here oftentimes too. You have to kind of take whatever they'll bring in order to make it worth their while. And in fact, one of the things I'm thinking about doing is I've talked to Brody about this, and so one of the ideas we have is we might just get a log splitter, like one of the really nice log splitters. And then when the stuff comes in, I'll chainsaw it up. Brody can run the log splitter, can stack it, and then he can sell pallets of firewood or bundles of firewood. And then any of the nice stuff I can use for spalting, mushroom logs, etc. And then we could just have a free dump site here. And I don't know. We've thought about that. We haven't worked into that just yet. This is a reminder. We just had a huge ice storm, but there's a ton of free wood. I bet there is. Yeah. And like, again, and man, it's cool because like logs, there's so many ways to inoculate them. I've seen people inoculate with agar. The spalting guys like to do a lot of agar for some reason. I still think sawdust spawn's probably the superior way to go. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be all kinds of stuff available. The Mushroom Color Atlas book looks like a good one for fungal dyes colors. Mushroom Color Atlas book? That seems interesting. I've not heard of that one. I love the smell of the woods. Yeah, so, and that's another thing that I'm going to talk about in the video that's upcoming is that boy, it actually made me a little bit emotional to think about it. But I have fond memories of cutting wood with Gramps growing up. That was a big thing for me. And Gramps would always say it warms you twice. He would cut, like people would cut wood in the summer for winter. And Gramps would a little bit, but he's like, no, the summer's for playing. Winter, you collect your wood, you cut it, and you get warm by cutting the wood. And then you take the firewood down to your house that you had from previous time. And I mean, we would cut during the summer too. We cut all year long. But the idea was that it warms you twice. It warms you with work, and then it warms you with the reward. But there's just something about working, out there like with trees, like good old kilt trees, right? That's just, it's rewarding. The smell of the sawdust, the smell of the freshly cut wood, the handling of the bark, and picking up logs and getting your heart beaten. Gramps did that for fun. He did that because he made his house where he could live on less than $13,000 a year. And he heated his house with wood, and he just enjoyed it. He enjoyed being a steward of his land. And that was one thing that was nice, is he got to do all that stuff with his own land. But there's just something really nice about getting out there and being able to work in the natural world, sunshine and cool air, and maybe a little bit too chilly, maybe a little bit too warm, but you get out there and you get your heart beating. He would do it for entertainment, for exercise, for frugal, out of frugal, not necessity, but frugal sake, I guess. So I've got a lot of emotion bound up in just getting out there and working and just like being a part of Gramps again. But the other side of it is it's just more enjoyable than air compressors. And I'm not a big fan of loud machines. It's another thing. I love the electric chainsaw. And that's one of the things I was going to say about sustainability is that you can I have a solar charging station. I can charge my batteries while I'm working off the Yeti power station that's being charged by solar panels. And then I mean, yeah, you got to have oil and the chains and the batteries and all that stuff. I know it's not endlessly sustainable, but the energy, grid ever goes down, boy, I've got that chainsaw forever. And some of those batteries, I can chainsaw all day. I've got like 3 of those big batteries, and I can chainsaw all day if I really needed to. So I don't know. It's just, I love that smell. I love being out there. I love that work. I'm happiest there. So, but I'm also happy in the lab. So I've got to figure out a way to do both. Oh, and another thing that I really like that I'm going to talk about in the log videos is that, so don't spread this out yet, but is that when you cut those X's, you produce a massive amount of sawdust. I've been bagging that up and then inoculating it. And then I have sawdust for the next set of logs. It's super fun. You're like, oh, I'm just making free sawdust. Yes, mushrooms can be used as an alternative coloring agent for food. Let me see. So if you're interested in that, I know he's got at least one post. It is Everyman Bio. It's Josh McGinnis. Everyman Bio. His account looks like... Nope. Does it show up better? There we go. Like that. His account looks like that. And he's mainly been showing off his micro photography work, but he has a food dye that he made out of a mold. And it says, I generated over 2 liters of non-toxic food-safe pigment from a common soil fungus for less than $5. For the last year, I've been really wanting to develop a low-cost, DIY-friendly technique for fermenting, filtering, and creating extracts from my fungal collection, with the idea of both helping my research partners accelerate the natural product discovery process and to demonstrate the biotech startup community the possibility of producing a valuable bio-based product in a low-cost, resource-constrained environment. So in February, I set forth on developing an experiment protocol, taking care to consider each phase of fermentation, creating a seed culture, preparing substrate, inoculation, and extraction. Turns out there are a lot of variables involved in the efficiency of pigment production, pH, strain, temperature, oxygen, nutrient content, just to name a few. But undeterred, I chose a baseline set of parameters and moved forward. Using this type strain for Taloromyces Astroroseus, I butchered that. I was able to inoculate a cup of rice and a cup of lentils in 2 flasks and generate over 2 liters of pigment in just 45 days. That may sound like a long time, but this was a first attempt with no strain optimization. Like many other Monascus species, T. Astroroseus produces over 20 different pigments, including monoscorubramin and rubropunctamine. But unlike most other Monascus species, Astroroseus does not produce harmful mycotoxins that often inhibit the use of pigments for industrial purposes. This is really incredible because many of the red pigments usually used industrially today are extremely toxic to humans and the environment. Finding and producing alternative sources of pigments for clothes, food, and all other places where dyes are used makes common sense for business and the environment. In my opinion, this is a fantastic example of how bioprospecting offers tremendous potential to science and industry. I mean, he does work too. Like he's with an ant, and he does fantastic microscopy photos. He's got one. Can extinct fungal DNA be isolated 100 million year old amber? Recently got my hands on a few samples of Burmese amber containing extinct club fungi and a fungus gnat in the family Mycetoph. Oh, it's fungus gnats, right? These specimens came from the Hoek Quang Valley, Myanmar, long known to science for its rich source of amber deposits. I don't know if anything ever came of it. I would need to go read about that. But he does cool stuff. So Josh is someone to check out and keep an eye on. That is Everyman Bio, as a reminder to you. I have amazing memories from woods being all over when I was a kid. I'd spend hours walking around. I wish my son had that same opportunity. Unfortunately, we don't have the same access as... Yeah, my kids have grown up not at all roaming the hills the way I do. They're more, I mean, they roam hills. My kids are very exploratory, but they've definitely been more on the, like, riding bikes on the street, riding the e-bikes and cruising and exploring and that kind of stuff. Been thinking about getting an electric chainsaw. I love my DeWalt, man. I love my DeWalt. It's crazy. It cuts through wood like butter. And I've cut through, like, I've got an 18-inch bar, I think. I should have gone for the 16-inch bar. I don't know. But it just rips. It just rips. Like, I don't have any issues with it. I was told not to get an electric chainsaw by some people that use them professionally, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I also I don't chainsaw all day, every day. I go out for a couple of hours. I chainsaw around. I have not had, like, a battery doing that a few days. I've not had to change that battery out. So I'm just cutting the logs to length so I can handle them. And then I'm cutting the X in them and I'm packing the spawn. And what I'm finding out I like doing is cutting a few logs and packing a few logs and cutting a few logs, etc. Yeah, check him out. Josh is an awesome human being, not just an awesome scientist. I'd like to see the X cut. When I'm picturing my head probably isn't right. I'm doing a video on it. It's going to be a little bit, a couple weeks at least, but we'll see about getting it. I do have some. I just had some B-roll from cutting logs and stuff for Monday's video. So Monday's video is probably going to be just a little bit more of me sitting around talking with some B-roll playing around, but. All right, guys, it's 3 hours, over 3 hours. Marathon Andrew, Marathon Mossy is done. Mossy's marathon. I'm going to go pee, and then I'm going to play some Cyberpunk. So y'all have a good night. Thank you so much for joining me. I was in a good mood, as you can tell. That's what happens when Andrew gets outdoor time. Andrew gets happy. So maybe I just need to start doing that before every live stream, so you guys are always getting happy, Andrew. Thank you all very much for hanging out. But check out and spread to everyone. Tell everyone about it, please. The Mushroom Cultivation Basics course is on January 10th. I am starting to advertise it tomorrow. Last time it sold out in like a little over a week. So, yeah, tell everyone you know who you think will be interested in that class. If you're interested in that class, take it. I had a lot of fun last time, and it seemed like everyone else got a lot out of it. So with that, guys, Happy New Year. I hope your New Year is as good to you as I'm hoping mine will be to me. Again, thank you all. Keep spawning culture.
Step into the lab, lights hum like a starship dock. Pine logs stacked like data banks in a cube block. I calibrate climates while the timeline bends. Writing fungal code loops only mycelium sends. I navigate ecosystems with instinctive precision. Every egg played a portal to a parallel vision. Many ships spin up like reactors at dawn. You want a culture revolution, then you better respond. We fracture the boundaries of the natural order. Make Reishi bloom sideways like a space-time border. I'm an Appalachian alchemist, wild ridge born, with a druid's intuition and a mind full of spores.
Keep spawning culture.
We're the network underfoot, the unseen sculpture.
Keep